All right. Welcome to Frenzy Freestyle Saturdays. It
Sundays.
is Sundays. Oh boy. Oh, we got to start over.
Okay, rewind, and starting
Yeah.
now.
Welcome to Frenzy Freestyle Sundays. It is January the 6th, 2022. Did I get that all
Yes,
right? Yes,
that
I
that is
did.
perfect. Yes.
And
Ooh,
and D has a very nice looking G1 Megatron gun with maybe if presuming that's Megatron, it's got a brown stock.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's all chromed out too.
Interesting.
Is it one of the versions that can shoot like little plastic bullets?
That's why I
You
wondered
know,
because I know that the other one that could shoot plastic bullets is is slightly shaped different than
Browning.
Megatron. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Takara Megatron could shoot bullets, and like most of his reissues could too.
Oh, okay.
So my question is, can that one do so?
I think we'll soon find out.
Mm-hmm. I'm anxious to hear about what we're looking at.
Yes. Let me get the flyer for this week's topic, because I didn't save it on my other drive, so I have to pull it from the actual feed.
Mm-hmm. It was something about leaders.
Yes. So, as you were saying, this month is like the obscure Transformers
Obs-
month,
yeah, over on the basics.
right?
That's why
And
they're doing
then
episodes
just
on like road rage and transmutate and stuff like that.
cool, and then just realizing that a lot of people have been mentioning Pipes, and
Mm-hmm.
Pipes was one of my favorite characters, and realizing there's certain leadership qualities to him that they displayed in the season 3 of Transformers. But then
Yeah.
Hotspot as a character also has those same leadership qualities and a similar look to Optimus.
Mm-hmm. There's even uh, when he was repainted in like 1990 as part of Guard City, he was even in Optimus Red colors. It wasn't Hotspot; it was
Interesting.
somebody else. But yeah,
Okay.
I'll find a picture right quick. See how that looks. Uh, Guard City. Guard City was the name of the combined form. The Defensor repaint. I don't remember what the individual names were.
Okay.
Fire Chief. That's what he was called.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Let me just pop a picture up. Mm,
I see, which is interesting. Doing a bit of research on Hotspot is he falls um under this theory of characters who kind of have the Optimus complex.
mm-hmm.
Whereas in
Oh
the
yeah,
comics, they give him the chest plate like Optimus.
yeah. Primus Apotheosis introduced in Last Stand of the Wreckers. So yeah, there's Fire Chief, his red repaint.
Nice.
Yeah, predates Fire Convoy and all that jazz.
Interesting how they only repainted along the sides and then still left the top and the wheels blue.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I like the way the two colors pop against each other, so I think it's like a good choice stylistically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah. It's interesting that was Pipes the leader of like the season 3 mini bots in as much as they had a leader, because I'm like, these guys were all leaders of something, right?
You know what? It almost they almost made it appear that way. Just in terms of how he presented himself within that episode. Because he even made a reference of
Yeah.
saying, like as as Optimus Prime would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just remember him being like the level-headed one out of the bunch,
Yes.
which counts for a lot when you're in an animated series surrounded by a bit larger than life personalities.
And this is true, and then being attacked
Mhm.
by a city at that moment as well.
Anybody that can maintain grace while they're under attack by an entire city deserves a little bit of credit.
This is true.
You think you got problems?
And then within that, it's realizing that it's like, many other characters also have certain leadership qualities, within the Autobots and the Decepticons. Let me see if I can just get the image up. Transferring it between computers.
I'm interested in what we're looking at. Yeah, but while we're waiting,
Yes.
It's interesting how much post G1 media tries to turn Bumblebee into an Autobot leader via shoehorning him into sort of the hot rod role.
Okay, let's see.
Because I'm like, Prime did it. At Robots in Disguise, the sequel series did it. IDW1 did it.
Okay.
It seems to be a weirdly common pathway for them.
Yeah, I mean, what is Hasbro's idea
too,
of doing that?
Age of Extinction.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like the natural point of evolution for the kid appeal character.
Right.
I say holding up a version that was extremely far from being a leader. Yeah. It's interesting that so something that I'm doing right now is over on the Discord server for here we go. Yeah.
There we go.
Autobot leaders, Decepticon leaders. Oh yeah, it's funny you should mention Decepticon leaders too. So over on the Transformers Wiki Discord, there's a big event happening right now, and it's sort of like a book club. And what they're doing is they're reading the entirety of Marvel G1 with some UK stuff mixed in, not like UK, but like each week it's like these issues, and then they discuss it on Saturdays. They just had their first one, right? I just wanted, I dropped in to see what it was like. And so a lot of this stuff I haven't read in a very long time. And so Marvel G1 really was all about like switching up who was leading, because 4 issues in, Shockwave has already taken over the Decepticons. Optimus is already placed. And I know later on who's Grimlock competing for it. So it's interesting that over in Marvel, they already had a very fluid conception of who was in charge.
Yeah. I know my connection's cutting in and out. Did you mention Blaster? Because he was also leading one faction. Okay.
Yeah. So pretty much from the drop, it was like a really fluid conception of, who was in things, as opposed to a very like status quo oriented cartoon.
Right. This is true.
Yeah.
I
wonder.
Oh, sorry. Go
it's
ahead.
Interesting that you'd pick Motor. Yeah, it's interesting that you'd pick Motor Master there. I don't recall him being in a leadership role aside from fancying himself being Optimus Prime's rival, unless that's what you're alluding to.
It was actually more alluding to his similarities to Megatron. Whereas Megatron isn't as loud and boisterous, whereas Motormaster is, but technically, really the Decepticons fear Megatron as the Stundicons fear Motormaster. So it's like they both lead over. Their skill set of leadership is putting fear into their troops, as opposed to like truly being a leader.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And I mean,
more so thinking. The impression I always got about his relationship with Optimus Prime was he was like, "I'm your most feared rival," and Optimus Prime was, "Who are you?"
Yep. I think my connection
That's always
is
the
just
impression I
acting
got.
all crazy.
D's been popping in and out. Do you need to unmute him on your end when he's back?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know if maybe it might be a StreamYard thing. Hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully, it sorts itself out and we're good for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, I just remember him asking you to mute him while he was having those feedback issues.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting between the Motormaster and Optimus. I mean, their dynamic, they didn't really play into it a lot, but between the two of them, just the odd times that they would meet up, and then that's kind of it. Where it's like, almost in a sense, they really don't speak about each other, or at least Optimus almost had no concern over Motormaster.
Yeah, Motormaster just thinks he's Optimus's rival because they're both trucks.
That's about it.
Ooh, hello, Mike.
What's going on?
We're discussing leaders.
Okay, so TikTok.
I was just talking about how Motormaster considered himself. Yeah. I was just talking about how Motormaster seemed to consider himself to be Optimus's rival, but Optimus was just like, I don't even know who you are.
Listen.
And how cold that is.
Puffer was Optimus Prime's rival.
Huffer.
Puffer. He's the only one. Hey, listen, he was the only cat
he's the only one that could pull his trail.
Yeah, he was the only one that pulled his trail, man. So got to give it to him.
I mean, he's a shunt.
Well, I think that whole Motormaster Optimus Prime, that was that whole thing with the Starscream, right? So that whole competition.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what it comes down to.
All right, can you hear me?
But otherwise, beyond that, you never really saw any.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. You can hear me. Okay, good.
We're just getting mad reverb.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a bit low.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
Pump up your mic and turn off your YouTube channel or Facebook channel.
I'm not on Facebook or YouTube. I just clicked on the link to spin on my phone, but the problem is You hear me now, right? Do you hear me am I loud now?
I can hear you. And there's the reverb.
Yes. Okay, look, am I louder? I gotta figure
Still
out
low.
Okay, look, Mike, if you're gonna behave like this, you gotta be quiet and listen to the question.
I can't hear you. That's the problem. Especially when you're deaf one year, it's even harder.
All right, do you hear is it any different now? I just put on my headphones. Is there any difference?
Yeah.
Do you hear me at all?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're just very quiet. Yeah, we can hear you. You just.
I need precise yes and no.
But no reverb though.
Yes and no. Okay? So when I say I plugged in the headphones, you have to say, now it's different or it's not different. Okay? Don't repeat the same information. All right?
But if the same thing's happening, what are we supposed to do?
You're not supposed to repeat yourself. You give me new information or no information.
So the information that we're going to provide is that we can hear you, but your volume is very low.
All right,
so it sounds like a volume either at a 1 or 2.
Repetition, Mike. If you do
it
one more time, I'm hanging up.
All right, see ya. Because I don't know how else to answer your question. All right. Well, D plays with his audio.
And welcome, Steep. This is Optimus. Optimus
all the
indeed.
way.
Optimus.
Holy wiki.
Yeah, like I was saying, it's funny. Yeah, what I was saying before all this was, it's funny how Marvel pretty much from the drop had a really fluid sense of leadership. Just because I've been rereading that as part of a Discord book club.
All right, I think I got it working now.
There we go.
Oh, louder, clearer.
So repeat yourself, Anthony.
Anthony's allowed to repeat himself. Only Orlati is not allowed. Now everybody's just going to be silent.
Yes.
Now that my mic is working, y'all are going to just stop
Waiting a
talking.
second.
I'm enjoying my cookies and
We're,
coffee.
we're giving you
Finn.
a platform.
You don't want to hear what I have to say right now. You just want to let me calm down now that I have everything in working order. I'll let you know when I'm ready to speak. Motormaster is one of the greatest Decepticon leaders ever. Spinister was talking shit about Motormaster's leadership qualities. But Spinister, I'll have you know, Murder Prime Time, FYI. Spin, let me let you know. Grimlock, as you guys just mentioned, was in fact the leader of the Autobots. He was the longest running leader of the Autobots in the Marvel comics.
This is correct.
He held the position longer than Blaster, longer than Optimus, longer than everybody, and he rules with an iron fist in exactly the way that you criticize Motormaster. He rules out of sheer strength.
Actually, but I mean, I haven't read those issues since the 80s.
Are you scared? Are you scared?
Wasn't Grimlock and Blaster leaders at like within the same duration?
Blaster was an intellectual leader who tried to emulate the values of the Autobots, like
Correct.
Optimus Prime. And Grimlock said, "Shut the fuck up. I'm the strongest, therefore I am the leader." And all the Autobots agreed with Grimlock.
No, there were two factions. That's what I'm questioning. As
There were
long as
two
Grimlock
factions.
were leading,
You're gonna call it a
Blaster
faction.
was leading.
Blaster had a raggle-taggle band of like misfit Autobots.
A raggle
Like people, a ragamuffin crew.
Okay.
A band of pirates. All right, the Autobots, Huffer, all the regular guy. Yeah, well, Skylinks wants to be leader himself, so
Raggle-taggle.
they're raggle-taggle. All the
raggle-taggle.
mainstream Autobots are line and step right behind Grimlock, and they may as well have been right behind Motormaster. If Motormaster had been hanging out, they'd follow him too. That's the truth about the Autobots that you don't want to admit.
Okay, so then it goes back to the other question. Leadership in terms of values, or in terms of putting fear into your teammates, because like most of the Autobots would have feared Grimlock. I mean, he's twice their size, and like they can't even defeat him. So is it just that Grimlock says I'm leading, and we're like, okay, we're just not gonna question it?
Exactly. They all know that he's doesn't embody the values of Optimus Prime and the Autobots and Primus and all that kind of stuff. But they're all a bunch of spineless cowards. So the bottom line is there's no real difference between the Autobots and Decepticons. They all just follow the strong guy.
It kind of reminds me of you ever watched the movie Bronx Tale?
The movie what?
The movie Bronx Tale. It's a mafia movie. Bronx
Is
Tale.
this guy talking about musicals? Is he going to sing a line from Grease?
No, it's not a musical. I said it's a mafia movie. Where do you get musical and mafia happening together?
I know
Yeah,
Bronx Tale.
it's probably
Bronx
happy.
Tale
Yeah.
sounds like Grease,
I'm just saying.
like Rumble in the Bronx. You know,
Yeah.
The only time you're ever going to see a musical and a mafia when a guy has a gun, he's telling you to dance. It reminds me of there was a quote when Sonny was talking to Cologio. He said to him, when Cologio asked him, "Would you rather be loved or respected or feared?" That was the question that he proposed him as a leader. So it goes back to what we're just saying right now. What would you, as Autobots or a Decepticon, as a leader, would you want to be respected or did you want to be feared?
I suppose the question, it depends on why. What is the purpose of the Autobot leader, right? Is it to stop the villains, to protect the planet, or a lot of these leadership struggles as they were portrayed in Marvel felt very like inward facing. Like, we're not concerned. We want to be leader. We're not concerned with the external problems. We're going to face inwards and entirely have an internalized struggle, regardless of why we're trying to seize leadership. I always thought it was a little self-defeating.
Okay.
Finn, why don't you? So is this our topic for the day?
Well, the
Autobot
first
leaders,
part, I guess.
Decepticon leaders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Finn, when as far as directing is concerned, let's try to. I can't do any directing right now because I'm only on the phone, as I think the other guys are. So you're the director. So let's try to have like either the speaker, like when the speaker's talking, let's have them full screen or main screen. And when we're all just talking as we are now, if it's not clear like who's like doing a little segment, then let's have our faces large and then the our title screen small if we can.
And that's actually one feature I've always been trying to figure out. It's like anytime I pick whoever the speaker is, it doesn't pick who's actually speaking. Just before we jump into that, Steve says Grimlock. Steve from Facebook says Grimlock is king.
Reximus Prime.
Reximus Prime.
Absolutely.
Rex and effects.
Absolutely. So
Grim
I'm pretty
Prime.
sure, Spin, I'm pretty sure there is a way. Like, I think if you just double click on the individual, you full screen them.
Right, but there's a feature where it's like you don't like it's not full screen. It basically it highlights the speaker but keeps everyone else in. So it doesn't make them completely full screen.
That's good. That's fine. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying is that anytime I've tried it, like say if you were talking and I tried the option, then it would put me in the highlight, but I'm not the one speaking. Like right now,
Okay.
Mike's highlighted.
So you just said.
Speaking.
Okay. So double click me.
We'll say remove.
Eek. Yeah.
I didn't say remove. I said double click.
When you double click it automatically removes you.
Yeah, it's not doing anything for me.
All right. Then do you see a little box in the corner, in the top corner of the icon? There you go. Maybe Spin just figured it out. Look at that.
No, that's the solo layout, but I'm saying there's a different layout that's not the solo layout, like the one that Mike just did.
So you know what you got to do, Spin?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if I'm talking right now, I need to press that. And then when the next person wants to talk and they want to be the main feature, like how I am right now, then they got to press the same button that I'm pressing.
Okay, that's the part I couldn't figure out. So the person speaking, they have to press it.
So hit it right now because you're talking. So hit it right now.
Nope, it's not doing it for me.
It's not?
You guys haven't even talked about what button you're pressing. Neither one of you has stated which button you're pressing.
It's the big head with the two little head next to it.
Mm-hmm.
The one in the middle.
I just straight up don't have that option.
Well, you know what? I think we'll figure this out on our off time one day.
Let's just keep it as 4.
There you go. All right, so back to the leaders.
Who do you vote? Which non-standard? Somebody who hasn't already been the leader of the Decepticons. So Shockwave is out. Galvatron, Megatron don't get to be the leader. What Decepticon do you pick who's never been the leader who you think deserves a shot at leadership of the Decepticons?
And hasn't been a sub-leader?
They could be sub-leaders. You could promote a sub-leader. The rule is, listen, we're going to go Spinister, then Anthony, and then the other guy, whoever is left. All right? Give your answers in that order. Spin, go.
Onslaught.
Okay, what's your reason?
Ah, damn it.
That was a good one.
I mean, I know of his one flaw, but my reasoning is he has the military mindset. He's a battle strategist, so he can he
strategist. How about a strategist?
Yes, strategist. So I mean, he'll analyze, whatever battle is presented to him, figure out which troops are best aligned for that battle. He just lacks the follow through. But out of all the Decepticons, I would put him in charge.
That's pretty good. Here's the greatest Onslaught figure that's ever been made.
That one's nice.
This is the MMC one, and when the pictures came out for this masterpiece scale, dude, when the pictures came out for him, a lot of people were complaining. I wasn't too sure that I liked the proportions. Like the torso was really long, but some people have those weird proportions, right? But when I got this guy in hand, like this is just like everything you want in a masterpiece. It's like big, chunky. It reminds you exactly of the toy that you had, except it's just better, in every way. So so good choice. All right, Anthony, you don't get to pick Onslaught. Who can compete with Onslaught?
Yeah, you heard me say, damn it. I reached around carefully and I said, what about Ravage? He's never actually been the leader, but he's all about covert stealth. So perhaps he could bring a different strategy to conquest that doesn't involve firepower, but involves guile instead.
Are you talking about that Ravage or Russian Ravage?
Mike, why did you have to do it? Well, I'm thinking back in my head, let's not go down to Russian Ravage again.
Well, this is him before the Matrix, and this is him after the Matrix. He steals the Matrix and becomes Ravage Prime. And he's like, comrades, we must use stealth we must use superior Decepticon stealth to defeat lazy American Autobots with superior
Anthony, spit it out, Anthony. What is the problem?
I'm trying to come up with Russian stereotypes for him to say, but I don't know any offhand.
Okay.
Vodka.
Yeah, that's exactly the first thing that came to my mind. Vodka.
He's gonna lick vodka out of a cat dish while he strategizes. This is him.
He could be he's got to be grumpy. He's got to be grumpy, a hopeless romantic, and obsessed with death, like existential death.
That sounds about right.
You know, and
He's like,
this is the
I'm
like,
obsessed with the death I deliver with these two giant guns.
you
So
know,
I don't
this
get
is
what
like
is the
the punchline of jokes where there's like, you know, and then like a family member passed away, and then they just start laughing, and you're like, wait a second, why is that funny?
Last week we had a big laugh.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Spin.
This is our inside joke from last week's show.
I don't
Okay,
know
okay.
what-
And the Russian thing
I
was
just
from
looked
last
him
week
in the
too, I
camera
guess.
and was like,
Mhm.
I was just like, the Russian comrades. Ah,
You forgot to open up his mouth.
because he's
From
Russian on Beast Wars for some reason. They just thought the open mouth was funny. He's just like, ah.
Michael's just died. Spin was just died.
So yes, this guy should be the Decepticon leader.
Here we go.
I'm going
No,
with that.
no.
I want to
Mike, it's
tell you
your
guys
turn.
something. If this was the only episode of this show that I had ever seen, I would think that you guys had the worst Transformers show ever in history.
That's what we want. Man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you guys do really great, but like today, like you're like fucking up today.
Wait, you're on this show.
I know it. So you're including yourself in this.
Yeah, I know, but all you're doing is like
Laughing? We're a bunch of goofy guys. What do you want?
Yeah, he's rethinking the statement.
Hey. You gotta remember, if you can't do good, then do bad.
I'm just here for a laugh, bro.
Nice. Power Master
Well-
Optimus.
Ooh, Master Force.
yeah. So I've been watching Master Force. Now tell me
Ooh,
this:
Yeah, such a unique show.
which of you guys have watched Master Force?
Question. Was it called Master Force in
I said,
88, 89?
I said, which of you guys have watched Master Force?
I've watched it.
I have.
Or Lottie?
Mine's a technicality question. I probably maybe watch one or two episodes and that's it. So yes, but no. Like I didn't see the full series.
I mean,
Comment on it.
considering that you consider reading a comic book series, reading the first page of the first issue and the last page of the last issue, I suppose you may as well claim to have watched it.
Well, if I saw the first episode and then I saw the last episode, then yeah.
And did you?
No. I
All
saw
right.
some
So-
random ones and that's it.
All right. Now, Anthony and Spin, have you guys both also seen Headmasters so that you can compare the two?
Yes.
Yes.
You know, you
I've
have
seen all
to you have to
three,
respond verbally. It's a
shows.
podcast.
Yes.
All right. In a
I've
podcast,
watched
you don't just
Headmasters.
nod. All right, cool. So now, what do you think is better? Maybe I'll start with you or Lottie. And yeah, let's go from
Hold on,
person who knows
can we finish the last segment before we move into this one?
I don't think you were saying anything in the last segment. What were you talking about?
Well, we're picking which one would be the Decepticon leader. Besides
Yeah,
any
Mike never
You're
race
right.
leaders.
You're right, and I'm wrong. Totally apologize. It's Anthony's turn. Sorry for fucking up the program. Anthony, go ahead. Did I mention this is the worst episode ever I've seen?
I wanted to see
Clearly-
Ravage be the.
Oh, Ravage.
You already
Oh,
met your message.
oh, Lottie, it's your turn.
Wait, hold on. Are
Gee,
we
really?
aiming to make this the worst episode of 2022?
Yeah.
I'd rather that. I think we've already done that. Let's
Okay.
not try to save it. Let's not try to save it. Let's make
Why?
it like the best turnaround.
I say we just go like ultra bad.
That's called beating a dead horse.
Even better.
You can't make it worse than it's already been.
You gotta
Like,
make it
you got-
ultra.
I don't have any.
You guys, no, you haven't only.
We're
Oh,
gonna
Lottie,
have,
let me tell you how well you've already just like made me hate this show. Like, not only in the few moments where I was like trying to get the mic set up, and you were just like being like, let me see if I can get Professor D to just commit suicide. Let me just get him.
Well, not that far.
Yeah.
You know, just a little squeeze. That's all. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, so let's put.
You know,
Raiden back on track.
one man's joke is another man's reason to commit suicide.
No.
That is a good quote. You heard it here. Talk about this show is not PC.
I never wanted to show you.
So much for putting Raiden back on the tracks. Just went right back downhill.
That's what makes this show so unique.
So that message was not endorsed by Children of Primus. So we go back to Mike to answer the question of which Decepticon leader would you pick? Who would you pick to lead the Decepticons? Who hasn't been leader? Who hasn't been a leader?
Bombshell.
Just so you know, this gun actually shoots.
We were asking that. Cool.
We had to just be clear.
Okay. You ready? I kind of said it, but we gotta wait for D.
And you're saying bombshell?
Bombshell.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That was a good
I
answer.
see that. Yeah.
And the reason why, if you don't listen, doesn't matter. It puts a bomb in your head, and there you go. Then you're gonna listen. So
okay, but bombshell versus mind wipe.
Still go for bombshell.
Why?
Even though those how do you call it, radio waves that are coming at you, that bomb is still gonna hit you right in the middle of your forehead. And it's gonna plant in there, and it's gonna stay in there, and then.
Sorry, you're saying mind wipes, radio waves are not as sure to hit you as a bomb.
Correct.
Okay, now let's follow that reasoning. It doesn't seem to make sense to me because waves radiate out in all directions, so you can't avoid a wave. But a particle, you can avoid a particle.
You can deflect waves.
Give me can you?
Yeah.
With
waves.
Okay, but what Autobot? Okay, so Blaster could do it maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But most Autobots, like they're ducking from fire, they can't duck a wave.
Unless they have a shield, like a Defensor, maybe Trailbreaker.
Right,
That's
Trailbreaker. I was thinking
out of the
Trailbreaker.
entire team. Mm-hmm.
Or
I don't know. I think Mind Wipe might be.
Or you could have some calls, some headphone plugs, so it doesn't penetrate.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That could maybe if it works by sound, but I'm not sure it's sound. Like it might be like some,
I don't know.
like the waves.
In the cartoon.
But to your point, like in the cartoon, Mind Wipe's like effect always seems to be very temporary. Versus Bombshell gets one of those joints on you, you're under his control until it's reprogrammed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wasn't Mind Wipe's thing implied to just be straight up magic too? Because the Japanese shows get kind of weird.
That is true.
I'm noticing that this is funny that you say what do you mean by the Japanese shows get kind of weird?
Like magic, burning justice, the power of like ethereal energy that can't be defined, plot point in Master Force,
and demonic. Like they talk about the demonic Decepticons. Mm-hmm. And there's like, a lot of necromancy. There's a lot of bringing them out, zombies, bringing them back from the dead.
Yeah, it's like Transformers is already not very grounded, but the Japanese shows are somehow even less grounded.
Well, now here's my question: is it not your white privileged Eurocentric notions of what is and is not weird and is not fetishistic or like, you use the term weird. and magic. But insofar as that makes sense when we're comparing like sort of G1 Transformers, the cartoon. There's no reference to any kind of magical stuff. But this program here is called Children of Primus. And that version of the Transformers lore is full of mythical beings and titans. But the difference is the Primus metaphors come from Western mythological iconography. So it derives from the Nordic myths, right? God of Thunder, the Titans, Greek mythology, all that kind of stuff is what it draws on. So is it not the case that actually, although you're right, that it is a common way to discuss in the in the sort of the Transformers fans universe that the Japanese version is more magical and demon possession and all that kind of stuff. But actually, the difference is just a cultural bias. What do you guys think?
I think it's called. Well, yeah, I
see
agree
that
with what you're
being the
saying. It's
case.
just two different cultures, ideas that are being put into the Transformers story.
Yeah, it's just
But one is not more magical or mystical than the other. It just seems that way because the Western mythology seems to those of us who are raised and steeped in Western mythology to actually seem less weird,
Yeah, but you could,
even less magical.
but you can say the same thing about the Japanese version of to say they can look at our version of our Transformers and they can say, hey, you know what? Why are these Americans so weird?
Well, they do. For instance, they say, "Why are you so disrespectful to your female Autobots that you have them go out and fight when obviously in their heart they want to look after little Daniel?"
yeah.
Well, I mean, you could say
The way they
when
handle
you
Darcy was
compare,
just something in Headmasters.
like when you
You wanna say
compare
hi?
the Japanese to
Okay, say wait.
the American versions.
Okay.
Good
What about
evening.
now?
Africa.
Yes.
This is what Africa looks like. In the
When you
Transformers.
compare the American to the Japanese version, some would say the American is more concrete in terms of details and theories and ideas of okay, these robots are sentient beings, they transform. Everything has a mechanical, in a sense, everything has a mechanical or an exact reasoning to it. Whereas, like when you look at a Japanese series, there's certain elements of mystical. There's certain mystical elements that you would see within how they transform. It's not you're not watching the robot transform into a vehicle. It's what's the word for it? It's it almost looks like a magical aura is around certain characters. Say like I don't remember which version it is. But there's one version where between I think it's Starsaber, but between the transformation, it's more of the light is surrounding the character as opposed to you're watching the character transform from one form to another.
Right.
Well,
Make it sound like beast machines.
Yeah. No, if you look at the American form, it's gun ho. Good versus bad, gun ho. Let's go out there, blaze of glory, shoot them up, and we're gonna win because we're the good guys, right? Whereas if you look at the Japanese version, it's more like the samurai respect, way of the warrior, of the mentality and the nature that that they coexist, right? And so that's where you get the two different kind of. It's still bad versus good, right? But you just have two different outlooks to it, right? And that's where you get the two different. I don't want to use the word bias, but that's just the two different beliefs or the two difference of the culture of the way how they want to portray their Transformer shows to their audience, right?
I don't think the
It's
samurai
worth noting
thing.
that
The samurai thing, I totally agree. I noticed, but just I don't think that the Japanese versions are any less sort of like when you describe sort of like the gun ho militaristic thing. I think
I'm talking
from
about
watching,
American.
yeah, but I'm saying the Japanese is exactly the same, maybe even more so. The or not any less. Like Headmasters is very very nationalistic. Like like just like GI Joe. It's almost even more like GI Joe than the Transformers. And it goes with the samurai thing. So I'm agreeing with your second point, where it's inflected with the Japanese idea of valor, but I'm challenging your first point, which is that the U.S. version is more like good guy versus bad guy, shoot 'em up. I think you definitely see that in Headmasters and Victory so far. I think is the same. Sorry, Anthony, I interrupted you. Over to you.
Well, no, I was going to say it's the same thing. And as somebody that particularly just read the manga versions as well, I think that the whole yeah, Ravage, nice. That's
that
the
was for
Optimus
you.
Max
That's
one.
for you.
Yeah,
Correct.
excellent.
Correct. Yeah. Also,
Yeah,
this is the best Ravage figure that's been made, I believe.
I was going to say I have the
I don't know.
SG
I don't know.
version because yeah,
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay, so here's the original. All right, spin.
Yeah.
That's the original one, and then let's look at the special color. Boom.
yeah, the SG
Very nice.
version. Yeah.
And
Nice.
okay, Shattered
yeah,
Glass.
what I
Yeah,
was
so
saying
he's a
was-
good guy.
Yeah, this is the good version of Ravage, who his gimmick is the Common One's a master of stealth. This guy really wants to be noticed. He's loud and visible and wants people to pay attention to him. That's his character.
That's funny. Yeah. Not the best color for that. Like you would think maybe he should have a loud color.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. They really flipped the personality because Ravage, would never want to be loud and noticeable. Like that's his skill set.
Right. I mean, that's the idea of the Shattered Glass, right?
Yeah, he was one of the ones that just more of like a joke. Like for a while, they had an official Twitter account for him back in the day.
Oh gosh.
But yeah.
So I'm sorry.
Period.
Did we get Orlotti's vote for Decepticon leader?
Bombshell.
Yeah, he said Bombshell.
Oh yeah, Bombshell. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's vote.
Who would be the best?
Everybody vote on, like, you get to vote on, you don't get to vote on yours. So Orlotti, between the two that these guys said, what would you pick?
Oh, come on, man. I'm definitely gonna go with Ravage, Russian Ravage.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like the best freaking partner you can have, man. Look at all the shots you're gonna do.
I'm voting.
That's not a reasoning to pick that.
Okay. All right, relax.
Yeah.
Spin. We're gonna have to get
lots
like
of shots from my guns.
There you go.
You know what? That's exactly how we ended up with the Premier of Ontario for that same reasoning.
What reasoning? You guys are talking over each other. I can't hear nobody. Shots. This is why we have the Premier.
I guess. I don't know.
Doug's Ford was a part of Doug Ford's election campaign with, what was it, like cheap beer or something like that?
I just cannot follow a conversation with you guys.
Bucket beer, baby. Bucket beer. Gonna come back to Ontario, D.
Okay, explain it to D.
No, it's gonna take forever.
No, it's Doug Ford, who's the Premier of Ontario, when he's running the election, part of whatever he was saying within his elections was offering the people of Ontario a buck of beer. So cheap beer. If you vote for me and you get cheap beer.
That's nice. I'm asking people to vote on which Decepticon leader they want, and what is the connection with the bucket beer?
picking Ravage as a Russian. So then, and Mike was saying basically he'll be the best leader because he's a drinking buddy.
He'd be like the best drinking buddy ever, man. All the shots.
Nothing to do with Decepticons or leading the army.
I think Motormaster. I think Motormaster could hold more Energon than Ravage just by virtue of volume. Mind Wipe.
Yeah.
He's got mind control abilities. Natural dictator. Yeah. TF Collect. He's got a good point. And look, even if it's temporary, it's like every time you have a Decepticon meeting, you have a Congress, right? It's like he can always get his way. Afterwards, he could go out and be like, I didn't want to vote with Mind Wipe. But like every time there's a vote, he wins. Right? So think about if he was there when they were all in Astro Train and arguing about like who should be the leader. And then, Devastator transforms and everything, and they have a whole problem. Like if Mind Wipe was there, there'd be no problems. Because he'd just be like, I'm the leader, that's it. And he doesn't even need to shoot anybody with a shell.
It's funny
Here's the thing. Look, Mind Wipe, Bombshell would need to hit each individual. Whereas Mind Wipe, he just sends the wave out, and he's like, look, y'all are voting for me as the leader, that's it.
It's true.
But he also has the Decepticons to come after.
Be like,
you.
how do we keep
He has his
agreeing
own
with
little
everything
army.
he suggests?
Right.
Which
Okay, so now, Spinister, do you vote for either Ravage or who did Orlati say?
Bombshell.
Yeah, Bombshell or Ravage.
I would take Ravage.
Why?
Okay, that's two.
Well, hold on. Question.
Well,
Are we speaking G1 Ravage or Russian Ravage?
Russian Ravage. Come on, man.
See, I don't fully know a lot about
This is what it looks
about
like after getting
Russian
the-
Ravage.
Shots, baby. Shut the vodka.
Spinister, nobody knows a lot about Russian Ravage because he doesn't exist.
Well, he
He does.
exists. Yeah, he's from Beast Wars.
That's
Right
what he.
there.
This is Beast Wars Ravage was.
Right there. Anthony's
This is the
hand.
Beast Wars Ravage. He was Russian on that show.
That's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
David Sobolov voiced him. Or no,
Fine. I'll accept it. I'll accept it.
He's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck did I get myself into today? Of all the shows that I had to come back to, I had to come
Of
back
all
to
the
this one.
episodes,
For real. Like you guys have had so many good episodes, and like I gotta show up for this shit. Like you guys all took your extra dumb pills like before today.
Okay, you know what? Let's just flip it. Out of the four of us, who would be the best leader for an Autobot or Decepticon, and why?
We've already done that. We've already done that episode. Can we get serious? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we actually did the Decepticon leader one. We never.
Listen,
really
I have
about
a confession to make.
Here we go.
I'm not in control of my own mind. I find that cartoons have an incredible power on my brain. Let me give you an example. The Headmaster Junior toys are currently being released in by a third party in Masterpiece scale, and they're relatively cheap. But I never had any interest. I've never had any interest in Headmaster Juniors. When I saw the toys being advertised, I didn't know what they were from. I didn't know what series they were from. I watched Headmasters. I'd read Headmasters. There were no Headmaster Juniors. So I don't give a F about the characters.
Because I don't even know what Headmaster Juniors are.
Me too.
Well, apparently they're in really, and you claim to have watched Victory. I see a flaw.
Unless the thing is, the last time I watched those shows, like they were on VHS in '88, so like no English dubs, no conversions of any sort. So like I'm watching them as is. So by the time
Oh, so you don't know the names. So you're saying you don't know the names.
exactly. So, but I think I know which characters you're referring to then.
Well,
I don't know their names.
so here's Victory. So in Victory, starts out with the Pretenders, which this is another confession to make. So not only do I now I kind of want the Headmaster Junior toys because I've seen them in a cartoon. But also, which is another reason why I have to not watch Beast Wars, even though Anthony, you're I know that you're right that it's probably a good show, but then I'm gonna want all those toys. So, Victory starts out with the Pretenders being the main characters, and the Pretenders, of course, we all know, are probably the worst or the second worst toys to ever have been branded Transformers. However, watching the cartoon, like the design, the look of the monsters, what they actually are pretending to be, like
This is
they
true.
look really cool.
Yes.
And so before, when I was saying, Orlati, I have an apology to you, I have a retraction for something I said on air. You, in several weeks ago, some episodes ago, when I was like, what would be cool to see a third party make? And you're like, why not Pretenders? And I was like, you're a traitor. Why are you even on this show? But now that I've seen how good the Pretenders could be, I'm like, yeah, like a really creative designer to somehow make Pretenders toys that are cool, because the source material from the on screen is actually really good looking. Like it's good artwork. And the mythology behind it also, just back to what we were saying about mythology, they're basically pulling from the same, kind of mythology as Godzilla, and ultimately it's the same kind of thing as Greek mythology too, where there were titans who gave birth to the gods, and the gods rose up and fought against them, and then the gods gave birth to man, and then man rose up and fought against the gods. And it's that same sort of thing where the Decepticons were imprisoned in a hollow earth for millions and millions of years, and now they've come back to take revenge, which also is kind of like Kal-El. It's kind of like the story of Superman,
Right.
where his father imprisoned those three Kryptonian criminals, right? And that's how Victory starts off, is the three main Decepticon pretenders have been imprisoned in the Earth for millions of years. Over to you guys, any thoughts?
What's funny with that is in many conversations I've said it's unfortunate that Hasbro doesn't still have their connection with Marvel, for the sake of if the Marvel movies were if the Transformers movies were under Marvel, they would have better writing, because exactly as you explained for
Absolutely.
Sorry?
No, I just said absolutely.
Yeah, so exactly as you explained about the Kryptonians, and about the Decepticons and the lineage of the gods to humans, a movie in the hands of Marvel, a movie by itself could have been the Combaticons, and going back into history on who were these five or six characters that were locked away in Cybertron before Starscream freed them. So now we see a history. Yeah, and I mean, when did at what point were they locked away? So they could have been mental prisoners for millions of years in the timeline.
Oh, there's could be like a whole bunch of great stories to be told from the comic books, or even the Japanese. Well, you're right, but even with the Japanese style cartoons, if they reintroduce it to the American audience, or North American audience, I should say, right? There's tons great stories to be told, and then from there, especially now with the technology today. And the improvement of the toys being made now by Hasbro.
Oh yeah,
right. There's tons of stories to be told, but it's up to them. It's only us to
Read-
discuss it, but it's up to them to
I-
actually do it.
I am once again imploring everybody to read the new comics because they do a lot of great things like this. They're there. You
Nice.
just got to read them.
Okay, I got a question for you guys. What do you think? So you have third-party toys, right? And you all understand the concept of third-party toys.
Mhm.
You know the debate between the KOs versus the third parties. We've talked a little bit about this. Not KO versus third party. Let me be more clear. Okay, are you guys all clear on the colloquial term third party figure and fourth party figure? You know what a fourth
Yes.
party figure is?
Actually, I haven't
third
heard of
party.
fourth.
Yeah, he talked about it. Remember at the TFCon?
Oh, a KO of a third party.
No.
Mhm.
Fourth
Essentially.
party.
Okay.
Not necessarily of a third party. Just a KO figure is considered fourth party.
Ah. So,
Right.
like,
because it's an exact copy. Whereas when technically business wise, that's still a third party company. But
Yeah.
colloquially, we call it fourth party to distinguish it from when a third party creates a unique figure that is stealing the intellectual property, right? So they've made an
Yeah.
Optimus Prime, but it's a unique transformation. We're calling that third party. But if they KO an Optimus Prime, we're calling that fourth party.
Yeah,
Yep.
it brings to mind like the bootlegs they'll do of like masterpieces that are like a bit cheaper and try to refine a few problems and things.
That's fourth party. Exactly. That's fourth.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I bring that up to say now to move to a slightly different domain. There is fan fiction where people just sort of make up Transformers stories, right?
Mhm.
But nobody has ever made to my knowledge, a third party cartoon of Transformers or any franchise. So think about this. Remember that that short Batman film that we discussed?
Yes. Yeah.
Spin. You even knew the actor in it, Kevin something.
Right. Yeah, I don't recall his last name, but I know the actor.
Okay. So do you guys know the Batman film I'm talking about?
Is it the one where he fights the aliens and the Predator? Because I know that one.
No. It's like an independent film. It's like 10 or 15 minutes long. It's on YouTube. You should watch it. And it's like, as Spin noted, Spin and I both agree with this. I sent it to him. He had already seen it. And I'm sure I sent it to you guys too. But it's just like one step down from being like actually a Hollywood production.
Mhm.
But it's some guy who just, or a group of people who made a fan Batman film, right? They don't have the rights. And the way they're getting away with it is by not selling it, right? So like
Mhm.
DC knows about it, but they're not going after them because it's like one of these labor of love things, right? And we've talked about this sort of thing. You guys know about examples of this sort of thing. So there's an example that's like a third party film, right? That's the same thing as making a third party figure, right? Except you're not selling it. Now imagine if somebody did a third party Transformers cartoon.
Mhm.
For instance, you just mentioned like the Combaticons, right? So you do like a whole series, you do a cartoon, right? Let's say we just decide we're going to make a cartoon of the Combaticons versus the Aerial Bots, and you don't really see any other Transformers in it, or maybe there's some other characters, but really those are the 5 Transformers on either side that are in the cartoon. And then furthermore, we don't use their actual Hasbro names or their Takara names. We use the names just like their third-party figures, right?
Right.
So I forget what this Onslaught, what his name is. It might be Invictus, or else that's the combiner name. But imagine you use the third-party names for the characters. Now, if you did that, what would happen? Would it be worth doing? How much money would it cost you? Would you make money doing it? Would Hasbro come after you? Would it only work if you did it like the DC thing? But remember, the DC thing was actually Batman versus
Yeah.
these. They sell this shit and they get away with it because it doesn't have a Decepticon logo, so no logos and no actual names. So the similarities with the characters is purely coincidental. What do you guys think? Can we do it? Will we make $1 million? Children of
No.
Primus audience, we want your opinion. Should we do this? Are you going to invest? Over to you guys.
So what happened was that there was I'm going to say fourth party. The reason why I'm saying fourth party is because these guys were actually using the character names for Transformer Prime. They want to extend that series, and what they were doing, they were actually bringing in Galvatron, Cyclonus, and Scourge, but these were like ancient Decepticons.
Yeah,
right.
It's a fan continuation, basically.
Correct. And this guy.
I'd still let me interrupt. Just I don't want you to lose your train of thought. I think we will still call it third party for this reason. They're not copying the cartoon. They're creating. Yeah, but to make new episodes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's just like third party. That's like this kind of thing. In that they're like trying to create the character and keep going. But it is unlike this. I take your point. I see why you said fourth party, because it's the exact same characters. Like they're not. So it's much more like the DC example. Yeah. Like the Batman example.
Correct. So what happened is that he
and they did make it, right?
Well, they did some teasers. They did some trailer kind of videos on YouTube, and they were trying to get a GoFundMe fund happening for that. I don't know what happened after, because I tried to look it up and to see if they were able to do it, but I haven't found any other information. Now, another person called Star Wars Theories, which is another Canadian, he did a Vader story. And what happened with him is that his whole thing is Vader. He had to contact George Lucas or Lucasfilm and Disney and everything and so forth. And all the restriction that was put on him was that he was not able to make a cent, not 1 penny, off of this fan film. He can use all the reference. He can use the music. He can use the names. He can use whatever cases, and it was really quality work. I suggest you go watch it, for the fans. But the restriction that was put on him by Disney and Lucasfilm, especially Lucasfilm, that he cannot make a single cent, and he had to pay everything out of his own pocket. And this thing cost over like $20,000.
Somebody want to read what TF Collect says?
So TF Collect from Facebook says, Prime Animations is making the fan-made series of a continuation of Transformers Prime, like the Batman example. Mike, it's still in production.
Oh, perfect. I hope it happens.
Oh, nice. So it didn't. Okay, beautiful. So now, but to your Darth Vader example, you may have you forgot to mention you've told this story on the show before.
Correct.
And so I guess you don't know the name of the film off the top of your head, but it's like a Darth Vader movie.
Yeah.
And it's on his channel, Star Wars Theories.
Yeah.
Okay. So I definitely want to watch it, and I'm interested to know what the time frame is. And now let me tell you guys another, because you mentioned Lucasfilms. I wonder, now he contacted Lucasfilms. Is this before Disney became the owner of the Star Wars stuff?
Yeah, Disney was owner of everything. He actually has video.
Hold on.
Okay.
I said, is this before
No.
Disney was the owner?
No, this is after when.
Okay, good. So you don't say yes if the answer is no.
Sorry, my
All right.
mistake. My whole point was that he has a video.
I'm talking. So this is very interesting to me.
Okay.
For the following reason. I have a plan. You're hearing it here first. Spoiler. All you guys is a secret, so all you millions of viewers don't tell anybody. I'm going to. I'm developing. I have a secret partner. All right. His name is the Bhagwan. He's the Adi Yogi, the inventor of yoga, the original inventor of yoga, and he has agreed to start a new series with me called Yoga Fett. And he's not going to reveal his full identity. So he's going to wear a helmet. He's going to wear a helmet. Now the helmet is going to be orange, but other than that, it's going to look very familiar to you. Now my question is, when Yoga Fett comes out with his cartoon and his YouTube videos, and he's doing all his yoga with his, all his Yoga Fett type of gear, blasting off with his jetpack on, will we get sued by Star Wars or not?
Likeness.
Likeness. Or do we get permission? Like, can I actually get permission for that in the same way as a guy got permission for Darth Vader? And maybe it should be even easier to get permission, because all I'm trying to really get permission for is sort of like to be able to sort of make in-universe references officially, as opposed to using an official character. What do you guys think? And right now they already have the whole sort of universe exploding of the different kind of Boba Fett characters, the different Mandalorians, right? So essentially, it's a yoga Mandalorian. Would I have to get permission or not?
I'd
And
rather
if so,
ask
could
for,
we get it?
okay. So I'd rather ask for forgiveness before I ask permission.
Yeah, that I was going to say. Aren't you protected as because it's clearly like satire / parody? I think that they're a bit
It's
looser
the music.
about that.
It's the music. If you're actually using real Star Wars theme music, then yeah, you will get copyright or flagged on that, right? But if you're using generic,
We can make original. Well, obviously, we're going to make original Yoga Fett music,
so you don't have to worry about that.
but it's going to have a Star Wars feel, obviously.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Dun, 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 dun.
Do you mean a Star Wars? Do you mean Star Yoga feel?
I would think it would be fine.
Okay, so given that I'm Yoga Fett in that universe, what characters do you guys play?
In that universe?
Yeah, in the Yoga Fett universe. So it's a Star Wars universe.
Okay.
My character. So basically, in the Star Wars universe, where I'm flying around,
right.
Using my Jedi healing powers of yoga, how the fuck are you guys contributing? Or are you just dead weight as usual?
No. I'm Pizza the Hut.
Here's how I send the nerds into a frenzy.
Spin. You have to end the broadcast there. He said Pizza the Hut. He won the internet tonight.
What's you doing yoga? I'm doing pizza. So there you go.
Yo, welcome to Guido's Pizza the Hut. Me and my cousin Nunzio here. We got the finest sausage and pepperoni you ever did taste this side of the Milky Way. Okay.
Forget about it. There you go.
Anthony, who are you in the Star Wars universe?
I'm just like looking at my shelf of figures, seeing if I can pick someone out. I'll be it
can be a crossover figure. You could be like that, the transforming fucking
Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
The big transforming Millennium Falcon.
Finn, are you keeping up to date on our comments? Just checking.
Yes.
Cool. Anthony, Spin, you got characters?
Now, what would I call it?
I pick Worf. I was sending the nerds into a tirade.
I think that's a fair. Yeah, give that an official fail. It's like somebody asks for Transformers, you give them a go by.
What are you saying? You shouldn't mix Star Wars and Star Trek together. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, maximum two fictional universes can be crossed.
They don't belong. It's impossible.
If there's three, it'll be anarchy.
You know, you can't have Spock saying, "May the Force be with you."
What was it? Was it Big Bang?
I think Skywarp should lead the Decepticons.
Hold on. There was an episode.
The prankster, the teleporting prankster with like no intelligence.
I mean, it's not like the Decepticons ever won in G1 anyway, so who cares? Like, for all the smarts Starscream and Megatron have, what good did it do them? May as well have a guy who's black and purple, and he's a jet.
Right. You see this man's face. Wait, let me get him nice and angled right.
You know what? Those
You see this man's face. Does this look like the face of a leader?
Who is the strongest? Who is the of the seekers of all 6 G1 seekers? Who is the strongest one?
Skywarp would be the strongest if he had more brains, because he can.
So if we were to check the tech specs, let's have a vote right now, and then we'll check the tech specs. Who do you vote is the strongest, according to tech specs, the strongest of the 6 G1 seekers?
Oh, probably Starscream.
I vote Thundercracker.
I'm thinking Thunder. Actually, I'm thinking Thundercracker.
Thundercracker.
I'm gonna go with Ramjet.
All right. I'm surprised, Spin, you didn't pick Thrust.
Oh
no! I mean, yeah, I like his overall look, but
shots,
in terms of strongest, because Thundercracker is the bully.
All right, cool. All right, so Anthony, can you check our answers?
Okay, we're going by G1
Thundercracker.
stat.
Oh, who said Thundercracker? We got to vote from the audience.
All right, so
audience, TF Collect. Audience members, get in your votes now. We got Anthony saying picking the easy answer because he's a punk. Starscream. We got Orlati with a good answer because Ramjet sometimes is thought of as the leader of the Coneheads, so a reasonable guess.
Is he? Actually,
I've heard people talk about him that way. I've heard people. I don't know. Anthony, you're looking it up for us?
Yeah, just give me a second. I'm trying to. I found images that were the squiggly lines. I'm like, I can't read that quickly. Let me find ones that list the numbers.
The squiggly lines are the only ones I consider official.
Yeah, but I would like a translation of them. Generation 1.
Ooh, nice. There's what was his name again? Thunderwing in the background.
Hey, why don't you guys? Yeah, like they are cool characters.
Yeah,
I knew someone who had the toy, but yeah, like those, like they're almost forgotten because they came out so late in G1, but they're really good characters.
You're talking about Pretenders?
Sorry?
You're talking about Pretenders, right?
No, the Thunderwing who's behind you.
Which is
the two.
You think I'm going to fall for that? Look out for the Decepticon behind you.
Yeah, but the 2 jets that combine.
Oh, okay, yeah. Are they dual cons?
No, I'm trying to remember if they weren't headmasters. I believe they were power masters.
But they combine?
Yeah, so they both the 2 jets combine into a larger jet.
Oh, into a larger jet. Okay, not into a robot.
Thunderwing and Dreadwing?
Yes.
Okay, so that's Starscream.
So Spin, you're on your computer, you have the ability to put things on screen?
I do.
Why don't you take the 2 that Anthony's not working on? And
I got them all up here. Just give me a moment.
You got them? Okay.
Starscream,
Okay.
Skywarp.
Throw them on
Thundercracker.
screen. Throw them on screen if
Actually,
you
yeah.
can. If you got some nice
let me
images.
just throw the master screen on here. I went to tfu.info. Let me
Transformers fuck you.info.
Transformers.
It's funny. It's like Freestyle Frenzy Sundays is like FFS. And it's like, like for F's sakes.
Okay.
That should be like a GoBot page, man. If you really think about it, TFFU.
I didn't know.
Okay,
Is it TFFU or is it TFU?
Okay,
TFU.
So Orlati's adding extra syllables as usual. Adding
Okay, so
extra words.
what are we counting here out of these numbers?
Strength. We're just strength. That's it.
Okay, so Starscream is a 7.
All right. I think Thundercracker's 7 also.
Thundercracker.
I think they're tied.
Also a 7.
Yeah,
okay.
I called it. All right. Skywarp, I'm giving a 6. Somebody else want to call it?
No,
Also 7.
Look at
Okay.
the
Guys are
All
all
right.
wide.
But look at the
All right. Okay. Hold on. Before we go to Ramjet.
Look at the challenge. Look at the intelligent number 9.
Ramjet,
Skywarp
I'm
has
gonna.
9 intelligence.
Ha ha! You see, you guys are like the dumb guy.
I never
I'm like, yo,
don't say point at the right finger. They never said that about Skywalker.
You know what?
Anthony
I'm gonna
said
say
that.
that Ramjet is gonna be a 10.
8, but he is higher than the other ones.
Oh,
He's not too
Orlati's
bright, but he's
kicking.
stronger.
Orlati's kicking ass.
Midair
Orlati's kicking ass.
collisions. He has
Okay,
to be stronger.
Wait. Now, let's take a guess about the other two coneheads. Are they going to just all be 8s, or are they not going to be as strong as Ramjet?
Dirge is gonna be 3, and Thrust will probably be 5.
Oh, another shot.
Hey, stop, Anthony, stop, Anthony, stop.
Okay, who's this?
Stop, you're cheating. Anthony, stop it. Hands off. All right. Orlati.
Yes.
Orlati.
Yeah.
Take a guess. What number are we going to get for who do we have pulled up here? Dirge. What are we going to get?
You know what? I have to go with the same logic how they did it with the original Seekers. I think they're going to be 8 all across, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anthony, what's your guess?
Same thing. Classic escalation. 8.
All right. That's my claim too. So Spin is going to win if it's anything under 8. Let's go.
I have that figure.
Oh, it's 7.
Oh, 7.
Ooh, I'm
I
surprised
win.
it's even
I
that
said
high.
7. I said 7. I won.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Now so I win. Wait. Anthony, stop! I'm gonna come to your house and slap you in the head if you don't fucking listen.
Put it back up. Go back to his face and his name.
All right, everybody,
bring it on. Bring it on.
All right, now Spinister's gonna be very upset if it's a 6 because this is his favorite guy. All right, but like everybody, give your vote.
I gotta be realistic. He looks good, but you know how those second set of Seekers are.
Yeah. So Spin, you're saying 3?
I'm saying 3.
Okay, Orlati, what are you saying?
I'm gonna go with 6.
I'm going to go
Okay,
with 7 because I think it's been a 7 this whole time.
It is 7. I say 7. All right, let's go.
Oh, God damn it.
8.
Ooh.
8?
I'm
8.
surprised.
Oh
Shot
shit,
8.
we all lost, but Anthony, I guess you and I came closest. So Thrust and Ramjet are the strongest.
Mm-hmm.
But now were you guys looking at intelligence? Is there anybody who matches
I don't think anybody else was a 9 like Skyward.
Anthony,
Yes?
you are not to touch your mouse until I give you the order. All right? So just hands off the mouse
Anthony,
and
touch
wait
your
till
mouse.
Not another peep. Not another peep out of you, Sinister.
Peep.
Yeah, but it's too small. He has to make it. He has to enlarge it again.
Yeah, and yeah. Images. All right. Think about the viewership. All right. Give us a nice picture to look at while we're asking. So here's the question now. Now the question is, who are you guys voting? Is there any seeker that rivals Skywarp's intelligence as per ranking? Is there anybody who rivals him? And if not, who is the second most intelligent? Everybody take a turn.
Okay, who's going first? Oh, well, I talked. So I will have to say Starscream.
Okay.
Well,
And what are you guessing? Is he a 9 or under?
no, he's a 9.
Just give a number. He's a 9. Okay, so you think he's equal. Okay, Spinister. Basically, just gives who is the smartest seeker next to Skywarp and give a number.
Starscream is probably a 9 as well.
All right, Anthony.
I don't think Starscream is very bright, so I think he's going to have a low intelligence.
You're right.
I'm going to arbitrarily go with Thundercracker because I feel like he's probably by default the brightest one next to Skywarp. But I don't feel terribly strongly about this.
Okay, and give a number. And what's the number? What number are you giving?
I'm going to go with 7.
Okay. Now before we look at his number,
Hey, it's my turn.
Okay, you go ahead.
I'm gonna say it's not Thundercracker. It is not Starscream. It's not Dirge. I'm gonna say the second smartest is Thrust.
Oh, shots.
All right. Now let's Spin, did you want to say something before we look at the results? I have to say a number. I think it's going to be between Ramjet and Thrust, but I got to pick one. I'm saying Thrust, and I'm giving him 7.
Okay, so you got to scroll down, Anthony.
But Spin wanted to say something before we look at the numbers.
Starscream's a scientist.
Yeah,
so
but
that
I don't know that
factor in his.
It should.
Should.
Right? It'd be logical, but like we're not. Right. You know, like these things don't always line up.
This is true.
So let's see. So Thrust, what do we got? I said 7.
Thrust, intelligence 6, pretty close.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
That's not. So I was wrong anyway. I know there's going to be somebody with a 7, at least. I think probably Starscream at 7. You can do them in any order.
Okay, so Starscream. Ooh, 7 intelligence.
7.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew he'd be 7. Yeah. Now, who voted for Starscream?
Mike
Only Anthony?
No, Mike and I.
I know. I voted for Thundercracker.
Both of you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, Thundercracker's not going to get it. The only chance will be The only chance to get an 8 will be Ramjet.
No, I remember seeing it.
Well, 7. He's 7, so at least I was right about his number, even if he's tied with Starscream.
Tied, so it's good. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, Dirge and Ramjet. Let's look at Dirge and Ramjet.
Dirge, intelligence 8. He's smarter than Starscream.
Okay, I told you.
Really?
Wait, did I say? Look at that. Look at that. All the guys you would never expect.
This does not line up with any of their fictional appearances. These guys were portrayed.
Wait a minute. There was a big conversation between Skywarp and Starscream when it came to their tech spec. It was supposed to be the other way around.
Right.
Okay, hold on. Hold on, guys. Let's check that after. Yeah. Let's check the last number.
Yeah.
Dirge.
Intelligence 5.
Okay.
He's a goon.
Oh, Ramjet. Yeah, Ramjet. Okay. So Ramjet is dumb and weak. What's
No,
his
he's-
strength?
No, he's the
His strength
strongest.
is 8.
No, he's the strongest.
He's the strongest
He's the
one.
Oh,
strongest.
okay, he's the
Right.
dumbest and the strongest.
Yeah.
Well, this makes sense because his whole thing, according to his bio, is that he loves smashing into things with his hard head.
That's why I
Okay,
picked
so that
him
makes
as
sense.
having
Of course,
the highest
He's
strength.
dumb and he has high strength.
What was Skywarp strength?
7.
7, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so now that you've learned some new things about the Seekers that you never knew, who do you think should be the leader?
Yeah, but remember what I said. Based on what we're talking about right here, what we're seeing, yes, Skywarp, but there's an asterisk
Hold on.
to it.
Hold on.
I'm holding on. I just said there's an
Hold
asterisk.
on.
But wait, there's more.
Orlati, have you not been paying attention this entire episode?
When do I ever?
The strongest and the stupidest must lead, says Grimlock.
So
Therefore-
Ramjet. So it goes back to what I said originally.
Ramjet is the leader of the Seekers, according to Motormaster logic and Megatron logic and,
Oh, they're
basically
doomed.
Decepticon, basically Transformers logic. It's Ramjet.
Yeah.
Michael's logic. I call
Yeah.
it. I like to say it.
Yeah. So like listen, for a really dumb show, we have uncovered some things in Transformers universe that nobody would have expected. Actually, the heir apparent for Decepticon takeover that nobody expected is motherfucking dumb ass Ramjet.
See?
Like Ramjet is dumber than 50% of the Decepticons. Okay, a 4 is that's a
Five.
failing grade.
That's a 5.
Okay.
He's a 5.
No, he's a 4. Back me up, guys. 4.
He's a 5.
He's a 5.
Yeah, that's still
All
a
right.
borderline fail.
Okay, he's exactly
I mean,
50%.
you just
He's
got in the
he's
door.
totally average. He's totally average.
He's half full or half empty.
Yeah.
Whatever-
Yeah, no,
whatever-
then it makes sense. No, then it makes sense because that's the popular guy, right? You can't be too smart. You can't be too dumb. He's a jock, right? So he's a perfect figurehead. He's strong. He's like not gonna He's not too smart. He's not too dumb. He's just strong, and like people can influence him. So like there he is.
The Ramjet.
All right. Well, I'm happy I got you clowns to like actually discover something in Transformers.
See?
I already
Ramjet.
knew Ramjet
Okay,
was
everybody-
cool.
So Ramjet
Everybody
is the
pull
new leader.
out your Ramjets. Let's compare Ramjets, ladies and gentlemen.
Mine's in the box.
You
Mine's in
show
my
me
basement.
mine. You show me mine, I'll show you. Wait.
Wait, what? Why am I showing you yours?
I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine.
Is that the
Big
masterpiece?
guns.
That's original Takara masterpiece.
Some
Ramjet.
guns inside there, man.
My Ramjet is boxed away, so
Yeah,
I
so
can't
Now
get him
the
at the moment.
face sculpt on these
Oh,
guys.
That looks
It's really good.
Megatronish.
That looks like a Greek statue.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like really dope. So these figures had mixed reviews. They're a little bit floppy, whatever. But the look of these guys, like the build quality is not great, but like that face sculpt is so
Yeah.
good. You know, like that masterpiece figure, like they really nailed the look. That's what I love about these guys.
I have a sickness where I look at something like that and I that really nice masterpiece Ramjet and I go, but what if it was G2?
Yeah, I don't think they made these. And
Uh,
I don't think they made
He
the
has it in his
G2.
hand.
And they've done a
Nothing
few of
has it.
those, so there's precedent, you know? Like that in these colors.
So this is the original Takara, but I also have the fourth party version by Yes Model, and the Yes Model one, of course, is just a straight white Ramjet. But they did. But Yes Model did release various paint jobs of the Seekers.
Ooh, did they
So
do a?
so they never did the G2s, but they do have the molds. So we could, if Children of Primus got big enough, right? We could, for like an upcoming TF con, we could, for instance, contact Yes Model, and we could order, if we had 500 buyers or 1,000 buyers to pre-order, we could probably get them to produce a G2 of this
Oh Lord, I would
if
have
we
to
got
get
enough
one.
buyers ahead of time.
That would look nice.
Do you think people would? Do you think like people would pay? Could we get 1,000 pre-orders at $100 each?
I think so. I mean, G2 is an easy money grab, and I'm surprised they haven't done it already because of that.
Well, here's a question: Is it an easier sell in the European market or still in the North American market? Considering
G2
G2 had a stronger push there.
Yeah, but G2 came out in Europe also.
Well,
Consider
no,
the-
that's what I mean. It was stronger in Europe than it was in America and Canada.
Yeah. People love exotic things. How many people here love the Japanese and European Transformers that barely had a presence here?
Mhm. Oh dear. Okay.
I'll be. Excuse me, I gotta go cough.
Okay.
Anyway, almost. Yeah, I'm ready.
Why isn't this working? There we go. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I'm really, now that I say it, I'm surprised they never did a G2 repaint, because they've done a few of those in the official Takara lines. You know, they know people will buy those. Bumblebee and Sideswipe both got G2 repaints in the Masterpiece line. But maybe they didn't want to do one of the big ones because that's a riskier value proposition.
What I missed?
Like the Make Toys did a Starscream Masterpiece in G2 colors. I had him for a while. It was he was a TFCon exclusive. That's why I'm like, could you get 1,000 pre-orders for a TFCon exclusive G2 Ramjet? Of course you could. They've sold G2 Seekers there before. Here's his vehicle mode, by the way. Nice and slick.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Zoom in on that.
Yeah, the Ramjet that I have is Generation Ramjets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did the classic Seeker mold in these colors too, but it was a fun pub thing, so it was really hard to get. But yeah, this is the Earthrise mold, and you know the Amazon set was like, yeah, you can even see it says Ramjet on them. Yeah, the Amazon set was impossible to get. This guy is easier to get than the G1 Ramjet if you want in the Earthrise Seekers.
Actually, that's the one thing with a G2 is putting the characters' names on the character.
Oh yeah, I said in my review of him, this guy didn't even go as nuts as they could have. The original was covered in stickers, and they didn't really try and replicate that here. They just made this version look a bit cleaner. Like, you know, you had logos and intakes. They loved sticking things all over this. One of my favorite G2 homages is Takara's Legends line did Titans Return Megatron in the colors of his G2 tank form, and they replicated his sticker on his chest that just says Megatron rules.
Right.
Because I'm like, that's how G2 did things.
But that was also in the comics as well too, right?
This form didn't appear in the comics.
No, the Megatron rule sticker. I could have sworn I saw it in one of the comics. I just can't remember which name.
Not that I know of offhand. I mean, his green form did appear in the Marvel comics as in the G2 ones because Cobra gave it to him in a crossover.
Right.
Correct.
But G2 the comics ended before they could before his purple version ever came out, so it didn't show up in the comics. Otherwise, it probably would have.
See,
like the last.
I was about to say, like, going back to what you were saying about, you know, how Cobra gave him that body, but I was surprised they didn't give him one of the Cobra tank one.
Yeah.
mode.
Well, I mean, the actual reason was the toy had already been created just on its own without any sort of planned G.I. Joe connection, and the comic just ran with that with
Yeah,
Cobra as an explanation for it.
it was just weird. I would have
Yeah.
thought they would have gave him the Cobra tank. That would have been a really good crossover, and then move into the regular tank after, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because even
maybe.
Serpentor made it into the Transformer as a Transformer. His conscious mind, his conscious mind went into a robot, like Palpatine when he died in Return of the Jedi, and then he came back after in Rise of Skywalker, whatever that shit movie. Did I say that too loud? Sorry. Yeah, so that's what Serpentor. So Serpentor actually, you know what? Serpentor became one of the leaders of the Decepticons as well too in the comics.
Yeah, the
Interesting.
Serpent OR from the Fun Pub stuff.
Yeah.
Let me find a picture of this guy for demonstration purposes.
Yeah, that was actually a really good figure or character, like the way they portrayed him in the Transformers in the comic book.
Serpent OR.
Serpentor.
Yeah.
Where did he go?
Here we go. And then I'm gonna click on share. I need to talk myself through it to. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I meant share screen. There we go.
It's funny, being on like the phone with like support of some sort, and like put in the password, and then you start saying out the letters.
Yeah, there we go. The Serpent OR, the Serpentor Transformer. Let me get his important features. Yeah, there you go. Just pop note like that. Yeah. So there's a repaint of Scourge.
Yeah, but you got to show the comic book one as well, because that's totally different from the comic book drawings.
Snakes on a plate.
Yeah. You mean this guy?
No.
Saying this I command as he stabs them.
I think there was nope. Keep on going.
I know. This is a cool panel.
Yeah.
There
you go.
This guy. What's this from? Oh, Art of War.
IDW. I think it's IDW. Look at that, eh?
Yeah, the same basic. It's not quite the same design, but it's the same idea.
Yeah. No, I like his head shape. It's like it's the way they drew it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a great idea. Because it's even because like in G.I. Joe, his whole thing was he was like the DNA of all these like classic evil people. I'd say it's easy to turn that into a Transformers concept if it's like a fused sparks of a bunch of villains.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, but that's a perfect figure for again, the like how we talked about this so many times in another episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? But again, this is a great opportunity for a crossover, right?
Mm-hmm.
D says from YouTube, what is that Serpentor from? I am in need MP scale though. There is a 3P of that Megatron, maybe from Planet X.
Well, I was going to say that the figure that I showed off that was a Transformers Collectors Club thing, so it was just a Generations figure, a mainline scaled one.
Yeah, it was Scourge repainted.
Yeah, I think it was from one of the figure subscription services. It says so over here.
Was it Scourge or was that Megatron? Yeah, Scourge. That's it. Because even Megatron had a bomber figure as well too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, he did, but this isn't a repaint of that. Same scale though, but yeah.
Yeah.
It could have. This probably predates that, and that's why they used it.
That's a deluxe size. Because I have that Scourge.
Yeah.
And I actually have the Megatron as well too. That's the bomber one.
Mm-hmm.
The Megatron one, I think it's black and purple.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a 3P of that Megatron also. So it wouldn't surprise me if they could do a Serpentor of it as well.
Yeah, I know, but it's Serpentor and that particular model. I thought that was really great.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
one right there.
Serpentor Prime, that's what it's called. The power of the Matrix changed him. I think this is from I think this is from Devil's Due. Yeah, Devil's Due. This was a totally different publisher that had the Joe license at the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've always heard this was an interesting series.
I didn't read it. Like I read it online. I didn't have the actual comic in my hand to read it. I would like to read it. I would like to get that.
Yeah,
line.
the only Joe Transformers crossover I've read is the crazy Tom Scioli one from a few years ago, which I highly recommend everyone read, even if it turns out not to be your thing, just because it's bonkers and everybody should have a look.
So going back to our leadership question,
Yes.
would you think this Serpentor version will be a good leader for the Decepticon?
See, I'm not super up on G.I. Joe. I know who Serpentor is, but I haven't really seen him in things, so I don't know what his character is like outside of what his origins are. So I'd have to leave that to the Joe knowers, But I would say that most continuities, the Decepticons would not be down with inorganic leading them because they tend to not like organics, right? So regardless of what he is now, right? He was an organic, so the onus would be on him. Really, he'd have like an uphill battle if he was going to try and assume leadership, because I don't think they'd want to follow him immediately because of that.
I could see that.
I'll tell you right now. I think he will do much better than Malik, which is Scorponaut, right? I think he will do much better. I actually believe that he would be a better leader. Because if you look at the original, I know you haven't seen it, Anthony, but the original G.I. Joe movie with Serpentor taking over, he literally had everything locked down. Like he took over power, he took over Washington D.C. He had everybody scattered around. I think he'd be a great leader for the Decepticons going forward. Let's just say if Megatron happens to go away, he'd be a good pick.
I'm just thinking of the breakdown in Silas Fusion from Transformers Prime, and how basically everybody in the Decepticons treated it like it was like blasphemous basically when he showed up, and they tolerated him for a bit, but everybody was clearly really weirded out by his existence. So Serpentor, even if he was turned into a transformer like that, would probably have the same kind of reaction.
I don't think his head is in the middle of his chest plate. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? But I truly believe this figure here. I really like this figure. I was really when I saw this online and I was reading about it, I was like, wow, you know what? This is a really good figure. I wish a third party or Hasbro come up with a figure like this. I'll buy it tomorrow. But this specific one that we see on screen, not the other one.
Well, I mean, the other one was obviously created in homage to this.
It's like Tarn. If I know there's a third party of them, and I'm trying to find one at a lesser price.
And there's that really expensive. There's that expensive Flame Toys figure that is official, but it's like $400.
Yeah. Nah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I was there at TFCon. Let me find a picture. I'm sure it's on the wiki because it's official. It's not a third party. Tarn. There it is.
Wow, look at that.
Flame Toys. Detailed non-transforming action figure, has leads in his chest, has die-cast parts, comes with fusion cannons.
Open it. Can you expand the?
Yeah.
Can you click on it and expand it? Look at that.
Yeah.
Look how beautiful that is.
He's big and expensive. He's like it's not like Unicron expensive, but it's getting up there.
Yeah. But if you just look at the figure himself, it's such an intimidating figure. Like if I was like Starscream and I came across a Decepticon looking like this, I'd be like I will obey. I will follow you, and please don't blow me up. You know.
The interesting thing about him talking about leadership was just that he was not interested in that, right? Because he was a humongous follower of Megatron's. Like it was like
Yes.
religious the way he followed him, right?
Yep. But in what
Even-
was it? In the cartoon, the one that you were watching, he got upset at Megatron because after he became a good guy or something like that. Am I
Yeah,
wrong
well, it's
to
the
say
same
that?
arc as in Lost Light, basically, right?
Yeah.
After he became an he never had aspirations of leadership, but like once Megatron turned into an Autobot, he just, cracked and decided, well, time to kill the person I worshipped over it, and that's his whole story. Not even like he's after leadership, just he wants like revenge for his idol having like betrayed his principles.
I know, but he's such a beautiful figure. Look at that.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
I would say it was an interesting story. So
Yeah. No, he has an interesting story arc, and it has a beautiful figure. I know I'm just repeating myself here, but it's because I'm in awe right now. That's why.
yeah,
I'm just saying to myself, I want to buy this.
you should get the. Yeah, well, I mean, this one is worth getting, but I'm going to say many years ago, Mastermind Creations did a generation scale version of him, and I never owned it, but I borrowed somebody's to play around with it, and that was a really good. Yeah, TF Collect just mentioned it. Mastermind Creations Coulter. It's kind of old now. I don't know what it costs, but yeah, here let me try and look
Yeah,
it
see
up.
if you can find him.
Yeah.
Where's Deke?
This is-
Deke took off?
Yeah, he's in the comments. Trying to find a good picture of both modes because these are a bunch of pictures of them. Here we go. Yeah, it's not the best photo because that's a CGI render, but he does look cleaner than that in person. But yeah, he transforms and everything. He's like a large Voyager in scale.
Oh,
See if I
okay.
See if I can find a better picture. Yeah, like
I love his mask. You see that Decepticon mask?
Mhm.
here's a good one.
Yeah,
It's from
that's
Chosen
pretty nice.
Prime. Maybe I'll just go to their website because I'm sure they have pictures of both modes. Yeah, so there's his robot mode, and that's a finished version of him, so he looks cleaner.
Nice.
That's really nice.
Yeah, there's his
149
mask.
too. 150, not bad.
Yeah, that's American dollars though.
Oh, so 150,000 Canadian.
Yeah.
There's some nice poses.
That's a nice figure.
Yes.
He can transform into his tank mode, so he's a proper transformer. And I remember he's not hard to transform. He's not like some third-party guys can be like difficult, but he wasn't. He was pretty simple.
Okay.
Yeah. There is some of the other DJD members that they did.
Nice.
Yeah, and like this guy was pretty strong. He's a pretty straightforward figure. And like I said, he was like large Voyager size, so he's pretty compatible with Generations guys. And
Okay,
maybe they'll make
sold.
yeah, if you can find one because he's definitely he's old. Like he's from like 2018, I think 2017. But
I got
unless
stuff
they've
from 20.
reissued him.
I got stuff from 2010, so don't worry about it. I have no problem with that.
But it's a matter of finding him, right?
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah.
I was looking for the that Netflix Nemesis Prime. We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
everywhere that I've gone right now, it's either sold out or they're asking for like $100 dollars for it. I'm like,
I said before, it was the second series of Netflix, and that had the second series had Nemesis Prime, Soundwave, and Bumblebee. That series barely came out in Canada. I'm pretty sure because it was just like right in the middle of the worst stretch of pandemic supply chain screw ups. Screwing everything up. Like Series 3 came out like I saw all of them at one point or another. Series 3 and same with Series 1. So 2 just got kind of screwed by like world events. So that's why everything from it is like so rare.
it's tough, man. Now, especially now they're talking about the truckers needing to be fully vaccinated when they're crossing the borders. So they're talking about even more delays in supply chain.
this is one of those things where I try not to grouse about it too much because I'm like, Transformers toys not being easily available is like down at the bottom of like things I'm gonna worry about when it comes to that kind of stuff, you know.
Right.
I know.
Try-
I know toilet paper is number one on the list. I get it.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and keep it in perspective here, you know.
I hear you. All right, so we talked about Decepticon leaders. What about Autobot leaders? Have we established anything with that?
Gotta represent my boy. He even has Rung there, so you know he has
Okay.
extra power.
He was a
Shogun Warriors Godzilla. Oh, Shogun Warriors Godzilla. Oh, I know what he's talking about. He's talking about the Super 7 figure. I mean, it's not a Transformer, but I'll pop it up for a second.
I watched Shogun the series.
Yeah, right here. It's like a retro-looking thing. It's from Super 7. Let me just get it up here.
I haven't watched any of those yet.
You never watched Shogun?
Not that I recall.
That's from the 80s. That's why I'm asking.
No, I know. I don't recall watching a Shogun.
That was actually pretty good.
There we go. So what he's referring to is these giant figures from Super 7 that are modeled after the old Shogun Warriors figures from the 70s, but they've secured they've secured the license to do new ones. Like they've done Star Wars ones. They did a couple Transformers ones. They did a giant Optimus. And, you know, now they've done a giant Godzilla. So he looks like an old retro figure. He's huge. He has a shooting fist and like a stick-out tongue.
That's
I
real
disagree with this
classic.
comment. Yeah. In fact, let me try and find the Optimus one.
It was I saw. You know, it was funny part because last week they were showing a whole bunch of Godzilla movies, like from like the 50s and 60s and all that.
Yeah, here we go.
It's Godzilla.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's tiny. Let me find a better
Right.
picture. There he is from Toy Fair. So that's a physical sample. Yeah. So these guys are. There's a little reaction figure there, so you can even get a sense of scale. These guys are huge.
Oh yeah, that is huge.
Yeah. They're not terribly posable. Like their feet are on wheels because that's how the old ones were. They got shoulder articulation. They got a fist that can shoot out. This guy's got a pop-out matrix.
Classic.
They're like imitating old 70s Shogun Warriors figures.
Nice. Classic.
But yeah, I'm glad there's a regular figure in there to give it a sense of scale. That's I don't know what line that's from, but you know, all reaction figures are the same size. So if you've seen one, you know how big they are.
Right. Yeah.
They've just been like producing a bunch of random figures and that they have the license to for that.
Okay.
And you know, since they're making the Transformers reaction figures, it makes sense that they do that. I mean, these are kind of rich for my blood because they're like expensive. The Godzilla one too.
Well, I
these
mean,
guys are
yeah,
like several
especially-
$100s.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, yeah, that's definitely collectors. For a collector and the size of it, just looking at the size comparison like that makes sense.
And they're probably not hollow or nothing. They're just like solid lumps of plastic. So
Yep.
and reactions like not to put any heat on it, but I've always thought Super 7's things were always like really overpriced. Reaction figures,
Okay.
Super Shoguns like these guys. I think they just charge too much money for them. I think they sort of rely on like a nostalgia tax.
Right.
But yeah, that's why I have those 2 reaction figures that I got at TFCon, Hot Rod and Galvatron, because they were selling them on like deep discount for whatever reason. They were selling them for like 10 Canadian bucks a piece. And I'm like, they're absolutely worth that. They're not worth like the 25 Canadian bucks that people were charging for them.
Right. Yeah. Like that is a good price point for those two.
Yeah, and like these are nice. They were just overpriced, but like especially the movie designs, they they really translate nicely to this style of design. Like I could see them blowing these up and making super Shoguns out of these too. You know,
Oh yeah,
just,
don't give him
just
ideas.
a Galvatron with a shooting fist. You know, because he already likes to shake his fist. So.
Hmm.
Oh God, yeah. I would feel some kind of a way about a giant hot rod like in that scale.
See, my only issue buying figures like that are Transformers, based on Transformers, that they don't transform.
Yeah,
right.
like
So it's hard for me when I go to the store and I'm looking at something like the red line that they have, right?
the
And
red series.
yeah, there you go. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, you know what? They look really nice. They look like they're pretty cool for to have like figures to put on your shelves or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time too, but I'm like, these are Transformers. They're not transforming.
Yeah, I've said it before. I just don't think they look good. Like I wanted to like them, but once I saw them in person, I was like, just on a production level, they don't look very well made. Like they're made out of really soft looking plastic, and every single one I've seen always has messed up like paint. So like they just don't look well produced. I'm not against the idea, especially when it's like we want to make this look as close to the cartoon model as we possibly can. And I'm like, okay, I understand that if you want to try and do it in that way. They just lousy execution, I thought.
Yeah, see, for me, like to buy something that doesn't transform and is based on a Transformer figure, it's either like we talked earlier about it, the chess set, or like a piggy bank, right?
Yeah.
Or like those busts, like those statues that are really detailed.
Yeah.
And then they cost like about $2,000, which I will not spend money on, but that probably like are the three things that I will spend money on. Let's just say hypothetically that they don't transform, that are Transformer line.
And there was sort of this like interesting tension between like collectors and general audience with the Red Series, because I remember when it first was announced, everybody was saying, "Oh, you know what they should do? This could be a vector to release Alpha Trion, the Action Masters, the Bumblebee characters that didn't like anybody that didn't transform. They should put them all in this line, right?" But then people were like, "Yeah, but they're all obscure people. They want to sell this to casuals, so it's going to be entirely Optimus and Megatron and whatever instead of those guys." And that sort of led it to like not have a collector buy-in, because the collectors were just like,
I think that's probably I think that's the only one character that I will buy at face value is the Alpha Trion, what you just said, because we never really had a Transformer figure or up mode that we ever saw on in G1 of Alpha Trion, right? So that's probably the one that I will buy that doesn't transform. But the rest, I wouldn't spend money on it. So Anthony, Professor D on YouTube is asking, 18-inch Godzilla available, and what is the price? Can you compare the vintage Shogun Godzilla on eBay? Which is cheaper?
Yeah, I'm working on it. Oh, okay. Hold on. I got a little bit wrong. They are making Super Shoguns, but that Godzilla was a little tiny reaction figure sized replica. I thought they also made a giant one of him, like they made the giant Optimus. Apparently, they did not. So that is only like a 3 3/4 inch replica of the original. So I had that wrong. But in my defense, they have produced other giant figures like that Optimus. But let's see.
Professor D says Shogun Warriors cartoon was 70s and 80s. It was direct precursor to Transformers and Godzilla in universe.
It's Godzilla.
Godzuki.
Talk about musical. There was this one episode where it was Godzilla teamed up with, I don't know, some other king something. And the whole entire time to wake up that particular monster, like the lady there had to sing the musical productions for it. So there's their musical right there, reference D.
Dang. Yeah, okay, so I was going to say, Sorry, I gotta stop sharing that. That's the
You've
problem.
crashed.
Yeah. No. If you want the giant one, you have to go vintage. They didn't produce a giant version of the new one, just a miniaturized version. And like the first eBay listing that I came up with was like $230 for one without its fist.
So we got TF Collect here on Facebook. I didn't care for the non-transforming Transformer. I agree. When I started collecting action figures, I then appreciated stuff the red line.
Yeah, there we go. Like,
I get what TF Collect is saying, but a Transformer should be a Transformer.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, I me being able to see both sides of it. I mean, there's some characters, they sat on my shelf probably going almost 20 years of never being transformed, even though they have the ability to transform whatever mode, well, it's not lazy, just they just look good on the shelf in robot mode, and it's just never going around transforming all of them, because there was quite a bit of them that were on the shelf. So it's just better keep them on the shelf. And I mean, when you look at like all the displays in all the different forums and groups and everything, like, I don't see anyone really transforming any of those characters. Like, they sit on those shelves for years as that.
When you buy like 20 of the one figure,
right?
So you have them in like in 50,000 posts, and then after in their alt mode as well too, like that picture that you put in. What was it today?
Oh, the multiple hot rods and rod. I don't recall if there was any Rodimus. I know it was all hot rods.
Oh, like holy crow, man!
Oh yeah, there were Rodimuses there.
Okay,
there was a shelf that was specifically dedicated to them, even.
Okay, cool.
Like I don't buy doubles. I just don't. The only time I ever buy doubles is because, like, I'm buying it for my son or something like that, right?
Yeah, same. Well,
No, it's funny.
Son, but like, I don't buy doubles.
In one group, someone had a triple of Tripticons.
Tripleticons.
Tripleticons.
Say that 3 times fast.
So what? They added in each op mode, I guess.
Nope, they would.
4 of them.
They had like the little diaspora of Tripticons attacking. I think it was Optimus. So 3 Tripticons attacking one character. But I mean, 3 of the same Tripticons. So not 3 variations. It was all the same. So everyone was saying that was a cool image. But then a few of us are like, how much money do you have, or why do you have 3 of the same Tripticons? Because that's a rare figure that you see someone with multiples of the same one.
So that's almost like a show on its own.
Yeah.
Maybe like, for next week.
Like 3 Tripticons and a pizza.
Yeah, like
3 Tripticons and a pizza.
Do you really need to buy more than one same Transformer?
Unless it's a true builder, I generally wouldn't. Even that, I don't do that because I don't have space or cash. But I could understand somebody buying a bunch of sweeps or whatever, or Insecticons, or
but okay.
Yeah,
but we talked about that
clone and sweeps, but
right. But we talked about that last week. We talked about that last time, right? Like, forget about the sweeps and the seekers.
Yeah,
that's you're buying multiple of the same figure in different colors, right? But again, I've always called it the Stormtrooper purchase, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, do you need to buy more than one hot rod? Do you need to buy more than? And when I'm talking about, I'm not talking about what we talked about last week, but that same figure, the exact same figure, the Kingdom hot rod twice, so you can have them as a figure standing, and then the other figure in his op mode. You know what I mean? Like next to each other. Like, do you really need to do that?
God
no. That's some luxury stuff.
Yeah, it is a luxury, but then okay. This is funny. Yeah, TFCom's comment. I've heard one ridiculous guy who has 6 shots. 6 shots, 1 for each mode.
If he was a real one, he'd have 7 of them, so he could do his secret wing wolf mode from Headmasters.
Nice. Well, the funny thing is, there's certain times you look at certain characters and I'm like, okay, say like a combiner, for instance. You know, it would be cool to have the separated characters, you know, and also the combined characters, but then to also have the alt mode of those characters. Now you're buying that same character 3 times. Whereas like even twice might seem excessive, but 3 times of this same character.
So here, you see, here's my argument to that, and there could be a counter argument to what I'm going to say, obviously, right? So for me, like I'd rather not because I'm cheap, but I'd rather buy the one figure of whatever line it's from, have it on my shelf, not wait 20 years. And that's a gig that was a bit of a shot at you, Mike. But I'm just saying, like, not and maybe like once a month, I will go there and rearrange my whole shelf, right? So it is forcing me to go there. First of all, to dust it if I don't have it like in a glass cage or like whatever protecting it, and then and having that fun time of grabbing each figure and reposting it or transforming it and doing a whole new shuffle look or something like that, right? So it's forcing me to do that. Versus, if you have 2 or 3 or 4, 20,000 of the same figure, you don't have to touch it ever again. Over to you, Anthony.
Yeah, no, I agree. Coming up with new configurations for my shelves is very much like an excuse to mess around with figures.
Right.
And I mean, same with like these streams and doing photo shoots for the reviews I write. It's always an excuse to break figures out and do stuff with them.
So you're agreeing with what I'm saying, then?
Yeah.
Okay, that was very short and sweet to the point. She would have been happy.
I mean, I agree. I agree.
Okay, spins off. We got so you and I. So let's go back to the original question from the show then, because we never really did the Autobots, right?
Yeah.
So forget about who has ever been leader for the Autobot. Wait a minute, how many leaders were there? Actual leaders of the Autobots.
What continuity? Because I'm like, there's a whole procession of them in Japanese G1. There's a whole procession of them in Marvel. Marvel's pretty much, Optimus, Blaster, Grimlock, Fortress Maximus, and then in one possible future, Rodimus Prime. American cartoon, it's Optimus, Magnus for a hot minute, then Rodimus Prime, and then Optimus again. And then if you add on the Japanese stuff, you also have Fort Max, Star Saber, Die Atlas, Optimus one more time.
Not that many, eh?
Yeah, not that many.
Okay.
I tell you who my vote is for somebody who's never been a leader. I'm going to just pull out a wild card here. I'm going to say Hubcap. We don't know nothing about him. Maybe he'll be a good leader. He remember his motto: weapons can win battles, and he has 2 large ones. But weapons can win battles, but words can win wars. So maybe he knows something that the rest of the Autobot leaders don't. It makes him sound like he's a pacifist. But remember, first of all, he's a communications hub, so he's like Soundwave in terms of the stuff he knows, and also he's like a fast talking con man, right? So if he was in a leadership position, what could he do for the Autobots to bring the war to a close?
I'm thinking not the movie version. Drift.
Oh, like right, I got him over here. Hold up.
The white vehicle. White and red vehicle.
Everything over. And
the samurai,
yeah,
the samurai version.
Yeah, I mean, it was like when people forget because people love his Lost Light version, but when he first debuted in early IDW, he was very much like a sort of a vaguely Mary Sue-ish fan character for Shane McCarthy, the guy that wrote him. So him becoming Autobot leader would totally complete that original journey of his in a funny way, you know?
Well, the reason why I pick him because what was he before an Autobot?
He was a Decepticon named Deadlock.
There you go.
And he was like, I don't like fighting with guns. I only use swords now. A special ancient order called the Circle of Light that I went to taught me how to use swords really good and gave me really good fighting skills and I'm so cool. But it's all right because James Roberts fixed him in More Than Meets the Eye. He's like, give him to me. I'll make him join this crew. I'll write him better. I can fix him. And then he did, and everybody likes him now. That's the character's actual history.
So that's my pick. Oh, we have.
If there was a comment for half second, what did it say?
Are you controlling it or am I controlling it, Mike?
I ain't in control of nothing.
I like the drift.
Yeah.
I like him because the reason why is because everything what you just said, and plus he was a Decepticon, so he knows.
Yeah, that's true.
All the insights of the Decepticons. Well, what you got to pick for yourself? Spin for anybody that was not a leader of the Autobots. Who would you pick as a leader for the Autobots? Like, who would you think would be a good leader? Mr. Hotspot.
Just thinking about it.
You're on mute.
I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Oh, I can't repeat myself. Otherwise, I have to, I'm going to get...
Sorry, but between Pipes and Hotspot. I would take Hotspot.
Elaborate.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence with this because I mean, Hotspot is leader of the Protectobots. He does have the leadership personality. But I think I would more go with Pipes, only because he, completely has not had the leadership role. Whereas Hotspot already, has a sub role that already has a sub team he's a leader of.
Listen.
So I'm going with Pipes.
Okay.
Pipes.
Pipes. Okay.
Yeah, Pipes. He's just the serious, straightforward character of of the mini Autobots for season 3.
So you're picking a short guy?
Yeah, he doesn't have short guy. He doesn't have a short guy personality.
Yeah, he's the pragmatic one. He's all business. That's his thing that sticks out to me personality wise.
And I mean, funny you could say. I mean, technically, Optimus is a short guy if you put him in next to like Omega and all the combiners and there's and the Dinobots.
He's not that short. I like Drift because it's the fact that he looks like one of those guys that if you, I don't know, say something wrong, it'll just cut your head off. You went against me? Heads will roll.
I think a lot about this is making me think about that time period in Transformers Prime where, without really talking about it, Ratchet sort of started leading the Autobots because Optimus was gone, everything was a mess, and he was the guy who just started telling everybody what to do.
Yeah.
But they never called him the leader, and they never made a thing about it. But he effectively ran the show for a while just because he was the oldest one. He was the most experienced one. He had his head on straight compared to everybody else. So I thought that was interesting. It'd be interesting to formalize that at one point. If Ratchet at some other point was like thrust into a leadership role and just had to, put his hands together and just get down to business again. Because I liked that,
Hold on, but which show was that?
That was
Prime.
Transformers Prime. Like
Yeah.
end of the first season, start of the second season, when Optimus was MIA because he lost his memories.
Yeah. But he was never one to fight.
Yeah,
Prime.
but he was the one. He was the one who was like being the brains of the operation because he was like, I need everybody to stop fighting with each other. This is what we're gonna do. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. So he just kind of took charge, and it was like that way for a little while.
Because I actually liked him more in. No, I know what you're talking about because obviously I like Transformers Prime and I remember him doing that, right? But I like the Ratchet more in animated. In Transformer Animated, I like Ratchet more.
Oh yeah, the same archetype, right? The older, experienced one.
Yeah, but I actually like that storyline between him and Lockdown. I thought that was pretty interesting. Right, and he was there. He was more of a fighter there, right? So more of a warrior, I should say. Never mind.
I'd like to see Pipes as leader. Can't be worse than Magnus, says Professor D on YouTube. It's just a poor guy. Ultra Magnus is a good dude who was out of his depth, so I'll always feel bad. He also added Ratchet
except for
Magnus
in Prime.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had
Magnus Prime, he was like very military, but you heard what Optimus said, right?
Yeah.
Because Ratchet defaults as leader just by age and seniority as per our forthcoming Patreon
Transformers age chart. Well,
okay.
But
then you can say the same thing about Cup too. Then
I was just gonna say, actually, why not like Cup as the Autobot leader? He's the oldest one out of all of them, and he's never been the Autobot leader before.
Yeah, remember Baba Winnaby, whatever.
Yeah. Nah. See, people forget like he's old, but he's not afraid to, he's a fighter. He's like the kind of old person who's been alive for a million years because he's tough and a survivor. So,
good old Cups.
Yeah,
he's like a cup of Joe.
Yeah. So, I'd like to see him take a turn as leader. I don't feel like he'd want to, but if he had to, he'd probably do a good job. He's a little bit of a kingmaker because he takes people under his wing, and those people that are under his wing become leaders,
Right.
So, I got a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference between Ultra Magnus and Magnus?
I presumed one is a short form for another, except in animated when it was a rank.
Right, but if you look at the comic book, I think is it in IDW? Magnus was a police figure that other Transformers took on.
He was still called Ultra Magnus even when he had.
No, we call Ultra Magnus. He was just known as Magnus. You know what I'm talking about, right, Anthony?
Yeah. It was a legacy thing secretly.
Yeah, I think some micro guy, whatever was the last Magnus.
Yeah, Minimus Ambus.
Yeah, there you go.
Spin's
like, what are you talking about, Spin?
Because he's gonna make my whole shelf fall apart because he's in the back. Actually, give me a second.
But you know where I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
Is there a difference between Ultra Magnus and Magnus?
No, I have a different angle on that question, but it's totally a valid question.
Because I got confused at one point myself, because when I was reading that comic book series, like what Anthony says, he's a legacy character, right? Magnus, and there's a whole bunch of different.
This is the Lost Light version of him, and then what you do is pop this out, open his chest plate. Crack these open, and voila, Minimus Ambus, the true Ultra Magnus.
There you go.
Different people inherit the suit, and he's the latest guy to be him.
Wasn't Shockwave at one point?
No,
look like Magnus.
No, Shockwave did get a suit at one point to disguise himself as Onyx Prime, but he didn't look like Magnus.
No, hold on. His original form before he became Shockwave, he was like he was a governor, I believe.
Oh yeah. That was because they were trying to disguise the fact that he was going to be Shockwave, but his name was always Shockwave. They just like didn't mention his name until the end of that story.
Yeah, but he almost had like he kind of looked like a Magnus figure as well too. But I'm just saying, like there was a whole bunch. Oh, here we go. Only an animated where Magnus was a rank. Oh, hold on, put that up. Sorry, TF Collect from Facebook. Only an animated where Magnus was ranked, yes. If Optimus Prime took on the role as Supreme Leader, he'd probably be Optimus Magnus.
Yeah.
I agree. But remember what my question is. I'm talking about it's a bit of a tricky question. I don't want to say a trick answer or a trick question. Because if you look at the comic book series, Magnus on Cybertron was known as like, the chief of police. Right, and there were various different Transformers that put on the Magnus suit. It was actually a suit, just like
I just demonstrated.
Yeah, exactly, right. Like what Anthony just demonstrated, right? And so it wasn't the same as Ultra Magnus. There were two separate characters.
It's the same as the G1 toy. Which you then kind of cross into the question between Optimus Prime and Rodimus Prime. When you think of the G1 toy, you have the white Optimus, and you combine it with the trailer to then become Ultra Magnus. It's quite, do you then say, well, then was Ultra Magnus the earlier form of a Power Master Optimus Prime? Whereas you take Optimus Prime, combine him with his trailer, he's now Power Master Optimus. When you go back and think of Optimus and Rodimus, Prime is actually the trailer. Optimus and Rodimus are the robots, and the cartoon only references that once, but the comics make reference of it. Does the same theory apply to Ultra Magnus? Whereas like Magnus is the white truck, Ultra is the trailer. Or so say if Ultra Magnus got the Matrix, is he still Ultra Magnus? Does one of the names drop in order to turn him into a Prime? So then technically it's a trailer Prime. Sorry?
Is he Magnus Prime like that one Titans Return figure?
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah, like because that's something that I've always. How do I say it? It got me thinking a lot because when I was looking up. Originally, when I was looking up Ultra Magnus, I was looking at other figures and all that kind of stuff, right? Just doing a bit of a deep dive knowledge of him or history of him. Sorry, I should say. I came across Magnus, right, and then I fell in that Wonderland rabbit hole, right? And I was like,
it's called a wiki walk sometimes.
Yeah, they're wiki walk, right? So a winky wonk, right? And I'm saying to myself, like, are these two different figures that happen to have the same name? Because it all started when there was that question, who is Dion?
Yeah. Optimus's dead friend.
A lot of people thought Dion was Ultra Magnus after that. He became Ultra Magnus after, right? Through that whole discussion, right?
I remember, while the cartoon writer said the official line was he didn't intend for him to have come back as anyone. He was supposed to literally be Optimus's dead friend, but also that he wasn't against people turning him into somebody because he thought, sure, let's do something with it. He's just like, that was just my intention. He'd be his dead friend, but let's yes and this,
Right. So that's where that, because I wanted to figure out, was Dion actually Ultra Magnus, and that's how I went to that winky wonky whatever.
Wiki walk.
Winky walk. There you go. Dive there, right? So I found it really interesting. I wish, I don't know, maybe going forward, I'm probably just gonna take some notes and
do some
talk
research.
about this. Yeah, do some research, take some notes and screenshots and stuff like that, right? But I'm glad that Anthony had that figure, the Ultra Magnus
To show
Lost Light figure, to show what I'm
Yeah.
talking about, right?
Yeah, it's the Combiner Wars version. It doesn't combine; it just happened to come out in that line. So
Yeah. Now, does that little figure come out on its own too?
oh yeah, it can come out, and it even has its own little alternate mode. In fact, let me go grab them.
Oh, okay. Is this something new to you, Michael? Is this the first time you're hearing about this spin?
I think I've seen that image and then that character like within the different groups. I just didn't remember about him, but I've seen of him.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
So that's it's like an Iron Man suit. That's like Iron Man wearing
Hulkbuster.
Yeah.
So here he
Hulkbuster.
is. This is
Yeah, Tony Stark. Yeah, that's Tony Stark wearing a Hulkbuster suit.
This is Minimus Ambus is the character's name.
Mhm.
He's like about the size of a Micromaster, like a modern one.
Yeah. That looks about right.
Yeah, and you can really quickly do a car conversion if I can remember how. Yeah, there we go. Just do that. The good old fashioned panel flipping. You do the arm peg. It's a tiny little car.
Nice.
It's kind of like a hover car, but yeah. In the comic, he was a little bit bigger because it was more like armor than like a mech suit. This was just for like practicalities of design. This was before they solved Ultra Magnus with the Siege figure, you know. But yeah, and he was just the latest in a long line of characters because Ultra Magnus did exist and then he died, and they decided they wanted to keep the character going because he was a famous lawman. So they were like, he represents something. So different people would put on the suit, and Minimus Ambus was just the most recent version of him. They did there was a mini series at one point where they did a crossover with Rom the Space Knight, and it was set in the past. And we met a Ultra Magnus that turned out to be a different guy because this was years earlier. That's his whole story.
See, again, going back to what we were talking about, making fan stories, right? Or fan-made stories, I should say. Sorry, something like that would be like really interesting to watch. I will watch that. I will sit down and watch a whole episode of the history of Magnus, and how he all started and how he was created and so forth, right?
Yeah,
I'd love to see something like that.
Has there been a Basics episode on him?
No. Well, Ultra Magnus, yes, but I don't think Magnus itself. There was a Basics on it from what's his name, Chris McFarlane.
Chris McFeely. Yeah,
McFeely, that's it.
Yeah, it's worth noting that like he used to be one of the he stepped down from the position to make the Basics, but he was one of the like main admins of the Transformers Wiki before he started doing this.
Okay.
So like he knows his stuff because he's like one of the writers of the wiki for a long time.
Amazing.
Yeah, like when he became a full-time like YouTuber, he just like divested himself of it so that he'd have time.
You know what? Yeah, I have to admit, I have to give him credit. Like his videos, even though they could range from like 5 minutes to 10 minutes or even 15 minutes.
Yeah,
there's a lot of information packed in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I saw a Q&A of his at one point. He said like he's just like however much time I think the subject needs. I'm not gonna try and cram something into 5 minutes or try and extend something into 15 minutes. Is like just whatever it needs, right?
Okay.
Well, I was going to say on that note, we should probably be wrapping up soon.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's a good time to do so.
Yeah, it's 10:41. What time do you want to wrap at 11 or do you want to wrap up sooner?
Before 11. So whatever happens between now and then. So,
okay. Is there a murder prime?
Didn't D already do that?
No. He did a murder yoga set.
So we'll have to wait till next week.
I mean, I don't think you're ever like I don't think you're ever going to hear me do a Murder Prime thing. I'm not an angry person by nature. I refuse to take this seriously.
So you know what? That's your Murder Prime right moment. I don't do Murder Prime, so that's my Murder Prime.
Yeah, there. Let's go with that.
Peace, Prime.
Our Murder Prime thing will be somebody else is going to take it seriously, and I'm just going to be like, it's toys. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. Gain some perspective.
Oh, I've seen a lot of that in one of the groups today, and I'm like, it's just a cartoon. Like, why are you guys taking it so serious? Like, it's after 40 years, it's meant to have funny questions and jokes and all sorts of things. Like, why are we taking it this serious?
Yeah, that, if you want me to Murder Prime, have that moment, that's my moment. My moment is don't take it seriously ever. If you do, check yourself,
Well, my whole thing has always been, it goes back to what I was saying before. We're just a bunch of goofy guys, talking about Transformers because that's what we love, right? Mm-hmm. And so every time when I've gone, I've literally stopped going into these groups or into these conversations because it's like there's someone there that just has a heart on for whatever it is, and I can see them. I can literally see them in my head or visualize them in my head, and they're just pounding on the key, saying, "No, what are you talking about?"
Oh, but you know what? It's entertaining. It's entertaining to sit and read through all of it and just not be a part of it and just be like, my gosh, like how does someone think this way? And even I was speaking. Sorry.
Bold of you to want to give it the time of day to read through a whole thing. I'm just like, I don't got brain space for this.
It's funny because even with one client I was speaking with yesterday, I mean, in some groups, someone will get like highly offended and they'll be like, you know what, I'm tired of you G1 guys and this and that, and it's like I'm leaving. And the best responses of the comments are like, who are you? We didn't even know you were here. Who? It's like, why are you announcing that you're leaving? Like, okay.
Wait a minute, isn't this group called G1?
Yeah, someone made a comment about G1 today. I'm like, well, wait a second. You're in a G1 group. Okay, I'll just scroll past this one because that one just didn't make any sense.
Listen, all I'm gonna say is this, okay? If it wasn't for the G1ers, they wouldn't be a G2ners, or a G3er, or a G4er, or a 5, or a 6, or 7, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, end of story. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's my reaction when they're like, "I'm gonna leave."
Okay. Exactly. Like, who are you? Okay.
Yeah. So that is my Murder Prime for me. Get a life. Fucking 45 years old, man. Worry about your kids.
I'm like, you got it. I'm just trying to fill my free time with things I like.
That's it. That's it.
You know what I did today? I'll tell you right now. This is what I did. It was like minus whatever it is. I was out with my son, and we're practicing his hockey. Mm-hmm. Right? And you know what? I enjoyed that. I had a good time. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to hop onto, our weekly show, and we could talk about, whatever we were talking about and have a good time and show off some toys and talk about it and act all goofy and piss off D. That's why he's not on here anymore. And, right? And it just have a good time, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like this is like my bonding moment, right? With friends, right? So.
Oh.
Or allow you trademark G4er.
There you go.
G4er.
If we ever made an album, that should be the title.
G4er, like all 80s.
I know. It's a final countdown.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a perfect soundtrack for a fan made Transformer movie.
I'll tell you this, man. If I had, I'm 100% on D's side here. If I had the knowledge, if I had the skills to pull something off like that, believe me, I will.
Yeah. Well, here's something I bet you guys don't know. I mean, I'm guessing Anthony might know. Is Hasbro has been making stop motion, like just comedy clips. yeah, in the last couple, like in the last month or two, and what's the guy's name who does the voice for Blur for Blur from the movie?
John Machida.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's actually the director of these little funny clips. Like there's
Yeah.
one where Hot Rod drops the Matrix and Galvatron
Yeah,
comes in the
it was
scene
great.
complaining, and another one with Nod as Sharkticon, and he's like he's a fine thespian, but he has to play a shark, and he's like, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
they're great.
like, yeah, like they're
Yeah,
and
they're
I mean,
like-
like this is Hasbro making fun of their own
Yeah.
creations.
See, I
Oh,
love
these are
that.
they're great. They're like fake behind. It's because it's for the movie's anniversary because it got that 4K release. So
Mm,
they're
okay.
like fake behind the scenes things of the making of the movie, and it's always like the actors having problems, and
yeah,
they've had a lot of. They've got like Stan Bush and Flint Dill and a bunch of
Yes.
people are the ones like doing the voices, just like random production people from the movie.
like Jazz doing a version of "You Got the Touch" with an acoustic guitar. Like
Yeah,
all the
that was
comments are
Stan
like,
Bush
"We all love
voicing him.
this." Okay.
Yeah. See, I'll tell you this: like, if any of our viewers wants to do something like this,
Yeah.
I'll be there to help.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, like, it's a
No, but
it's a huge
it
undertaking.
no, it is. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm there to help. I'll give like ideas. I'll act. I'll lend my voice. You know, but I just don't know how to do the visual arts. Let's just say.
I would
lines
love to
or
do
whatever,
voice
right?
acting.
Yeah.
Well,
You
there
know, I
was
gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
there was one animated clip with someone created an animated clip about a week or two ago of Hot Rod riding on Wreck-Gar in a battle action scene.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm like that's like just just that like that 2-minute clip, and I'm like that's amazing. You know,
See,
Mhm.
I would like if I could, I would love to do something like that. Like
Mhm.
be the person on their computer to make that animated short,
Yeah.
right? I would love to do that, but I can't. But
What I was saying
if you
was,
need ideas, I can sit
Yeah.
down with anybody and say, okay, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's try this. That's a good look. You know what I mean?
because I
So
like to
I'm
give a
in-
sense
I'm
of
in.
scale here.
Yeah, like
The Transformers Prime one that we referenced, right? I looked
Correct.
into it quietly in the background here. Like, it's still going. They've had the last update video was December 2021, so it's very much
wow.
still in the works. But like, they've been working on it for about 6 years now, right?
Yeah.
okay.
That's how long something like this, when you're not professionally funded, when it's just fans doing it, like takes. You know, it could easily be a decade before it's out. You know, because CGI is difficult, animation is difficult.
yeah,
If
especially
it's not for
especially that
profit
animated.
and you don't have corporate backing, and
Yeah.
you know that it's just a very long process. That's why these things don't really exist, right? Or
Yeah,
why
but
so many of them start and then don't go anywhere.
and that's what freaks me out. If you go back to Star Wars theories, was that person doing his whole Vader movie, because there's a part 2 that he wants to do coming out with Mace Windu, right?
Okay.
Because he's trying to tie in, because nobody knows what really happened with Mace Windu after he fell out of that window, right?
Oh yeah, I
And so, and so we all know, you know, as he's a Jedi Master, he could jump in those
Yeah.
fall and jump into whatever to survive and all that kind of stuff, right?
But also,
So anyway-
just like from a fictional perspective, if you don't see a body, if somebody falls,
Yeah.
that's the easiest thing to bring a character back. Like,
Right.
in
Oh,
any
for sure.
story.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, in the context of the movie, he's supposed to be dead, but like, they could easily bring him back if they ever wanted
Like,
to.
you
That's
know,
the
the
easiest thing to
classic
write around.
cheap
And
Hollywood
that's-
trick.
and that
Yeah.
and that's part 2 to his Vader story, right?
Yeah.
It's called Star Wars Vader or whatever, right? But anyways, the whole point is that he was able to fund this thing, which costs, what was it, like over 200,000 or 500,000.
Mm.
He actually got a professional director. They did like a whole casting. They did like a whole bunch of productions and everything. He went through some difficulties, and Lucasfilm was able to step in and help him and so forth, right? And it was like one of the biggest things that actually helped him in his channel. That's one of the, I have to give this guy credit because he did everything on his own. I would love to do something like that
Mhm.
for Transformer. I'm not saying live action, more on the animated side of it, right? Like that short one that you were just talking about, like, you know, Hot Rod riding that record. but I would like to take, an essential story. Like, for example, I mentioned this many times already before, the stories of the Primes. How did they defeat a Unicron? And then what happened to them after they defeated Unicron? Because there's a story right there to be told. And I would love to see something like that. And I mentioned this many times, right? So, I'm just like how D says, I like to repeat myself, right? But that's if I was able to have that knowledge to do something like that, believe me, this would have been done 10 years ago.
I think I would enjoy seeing Transformer movies or a series in stop motion, since that hasn't been done. And now when you look at like the Lego movie, like movies like that were really popular.
Hey man, I'll take whatever method, live, Lego, animated, CGI, whatever, as long as it's done, almost professionally, let's just say, right?
Yeah. So I was gonna say, there's stop motion films are dime a dozen, but most of them are done in like someone's bedroom,
Yeah. Yeah, half of the time I'm like, I had those sheets when I was a kid. So right. But I would like I like the idea. I totally agree with them. If anybody is watching this video and you guys are interested in doing something like this, reach out to us, and whatever way we can help, we'd be more than happy to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if Hasbro allows us to do something like this without being penalty, or they're coming after us for ridiculous reasons, instead of fighting against us to be part of it, then I'm all in it, man. I want to do it, guys. If we can do it, let's do it.
Cool. All right, Anthony, what do you have lined up for us for tomorrow, Monday, and for this upcoming Friday?
Well, let me share a few things. First of all, tomorrow, I am being very indulgent and looking at something old and doing my review of Hunt for the Decepticons hubcap from 2010.
I have that one.
Yeah, it's an old movie guy version of my favorite obscure character. I don't know what's coming Friday. I haven't decided yet. I pull from the archives. Next Monday, it's a toss-up. Either Bumblebee movie Starscream, or I just got a message. I'm going to talk about that too. I reviewed Blitzwing some time ago. He's up on the blog.
Go copy Starscream.
Yeah, and here's Blitzwing. I'm going to talk about this, how they're different.
Gosh.
Yeah, you know what it is. Very much in the movie, the CGI model of him was a reworked version of him, but because he has a different alternate mode, like a totally different one, this has to be a completely different figure. Like, they don't share any parts because he changes completely differently. It's really interesting. But yeah, it's either that or possibly to complement my premium finish Bumblebee, premium finish Optimus, because I just got a text on my phone telling me the package had arrived, so maybe I can get him ready before next Monday.
Nice.
So it's the Bumblebee movie Optimus, but with the like crazy detailed deco, like how they did the crazy detailed deco version of Bumblebee. So it's the companion piece to this guy. Which, by the way, you should check this out if you haven't read it yet. I mounted a defense of this tooling that people don't like, but I do. So,
hey man, why not? If you like it, hey, you're the writer. You can write whatever you want.
Yeah. I'm saying I hope I got my point across in that review that was very much a labor of love, trying to say why I liked this thing, which more people should do. Talk less about why you don't like a thing. Talk about why you like a thing.
I agree.
Yeah. So that's all what's on tap for me coming up. If I get that Optimus done and ready for next Monday, then Starscream will be the week after that. So it's coming regardless.
Cool. So where can we all find all this information?
Children of Primus. If you Google Children of Primus, we're pretty close to the top, and I think our Facebook group is up at the top anyway. So,
I believe so.
plug us into Google, you'll find us. We got our classified site where you can buy and sell figures, which is totally free. There's no catch. There's usually a catch, but there's no
Free.
catch in this case.
Free.
And then if you click over to news and reviews, we've aggregated news from a bunch of sites, and also my writing is there, which I review figures every week. And I write the kind of reviews that I wanted other people to do. So I am the change I want to see in the world.
Nice.
I got a question
very well put.
I got a question for TF Collect.
Mm-hmm.
If you have anything that you want to plug, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to plug for you.
Yeah.
Just like we have what was the other one? TF Vintage Review.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Because they also have a web channel as well. So check them out. So if anybody has anything that they want to plug, or they want to even do a review on their own, and they want to plug it on the Children of Primus, we're a platform for anybody to use and abuse. So use it.
And we've shared our reviews and information to various other groups. And also our Instagram page that's been slowly picking up traction because all of our information been sharing over there.
Beautiful. And if you got any pictures of, for example, Bill, one of our our regulars, he has his whole shelf that he's been working on. Send us some of those pictures, and we'll be more than happy to put it on Instagram. Like I said, we're a bunch of goofy guys that just like Transformers. And we just,
make it sound like you make it sound like a commercial for a sitcom in the 90s. They're just a bunch of goofy guys.
But you know what? When you look at the ending of the last episode and the beginning of this week with Ravage, that's definitely some goofy guy material happening there. Here we go.
Ravage says, "Watch Beast Wars, comrades, so you know what my deal is. I don't show up until the end of the second season, but is worth wait."
Is worth wait.
Yeah.
He shows up at the end of the show, so it's he just seems to have a nice ongoing theme there.
Yeah. And for our viewers that are a bunch of alcoholics, we have a game that's called Thrust. So every time you hear Thrust, take a shot.
I'm going to get the Studio Series figure and do an entire episode just talking about it, and then I'll call that one that episode the cirrhosis episode.
I was going to say, it doesn't have to be alcohol. Could be water, could be juice, could be tea. But you must drink something when we mention Thrust.
Exactly. That's the drinking game. All right, guys. We're gonna sign off.
Before we sign off, TF Collect from Facebook says, "Appreciate it. Got nothing. I'm just a regular fan and contributor." But it also says, "Great topics, great discussion. I learned Skywarp was actually smart. Enjoyed today's show."
I appreciate that. I like knowing that we impact people in some way. That's what it comes down to.
Beautiful. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up. Tomorrow, we're actually starting tonight here in Ontario. There's supposed to be a snow warning. So,
get some exercise.
So be prepared for that. If you got to leave to go to work, make sure you leave a little early. Kids may not be going to school. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's possible it may be a snow day. I know some of my work's been pushed back to I think Wednesday or Thursday. So you just deal with it accordingly. It's nothing shocking. It's winter.
Awesome. All right. Oh, we got D here. He's sneaking a last comment. It says Professor D on YouTube. Big up to TF Collect. Today was the big Skywarp reveal. Oh, remember.
Dun, dun, dun.
He's smarter than you think. Yeah.
No, but remember, it's really Ramjet. That should have been the leader. And who called that one? This guy. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Take care. Peace out.
Peace out.
Peace out.